Chapter 571. I'd rather betray the world. I don't want the world to betray me. At this moment, blood horns grew on the shoulders of the young infant floating in the divine aperture. Blood transformation had already merged with his bone marrow and energy. Even his consciousness was not spared. The divine image, jade walls, primordial spirit retreated. Master, your young infant has become 10 times stronger. Really? This is how I look when I enter berserk mode. Su Feng gazed at it proudly. He suddenly felt that the blood horns on his shoulders were indeed filled with strong physical power. For some reason, it seemed to give his physical body and young infant an indestructible power. Rakshasa Yu Changping stood far away. Master, legend has it that once berserk, one's strength will also increase. It seems that the legend is true. Master, not only did you enter berserk mode, you also have the ability to transform. Su Feng did not think it was powerful. He sneered and immediately merged with his physical body. At this moment, his first feeling was not from the shackles of the barrier of Zuin Pavilion. It was the blood horns. His empty eyes became as deep as the stars. Looking at the two blood horns, his strength directly entered the Ascension realm. Berserk blood transformation gave him strength instead. Zuin Pavilion's celestial sealing sect. He glanced left and right. For some reason, his body was emitting a terrifying cold aura. The cold aura contained an evil aura, especially the blood horns on his shoulders. ZZ, with the strength of his perfect realm physical body, the two blood horns drilled into his shoulders again. So this pair of blood horns is mostly formed from my bones. It seems that Yuer was right. Cultivating the heavenly demon book and absorbing the power of the big goblin has planted an evil power in my body. After berserk, blood transformation gave birth to this pair of blood horns. With blood transformation, my strength has increased. In the future, I will have to cultivate the heavenly demon book and absorb the power of the big goblin at the same time. He liked the berserk blood transformation because it gave him strength. I'll wait and see what the two factions can discuss. Suppressing the berserk power, Su Feng also felt that there was a voice in his consciousness that seemed to want him to continue berserk. Moreover, almost 1/10 of the energy in his body contained an evil aura. Both of you. Zhang Suning turned around at this time, gathering the seal in his hands. He looked at Yuan Tianzong and Jin Changkong and said, "Our sect's higher-ups have just come to a conclusion. In the end, we still have to bring Feng Yu back to the Dao Hall first. He stole our sect's Dharma treasures and mystical abilities. Our sect will not allow our foundation to be revealed. We seek the celestial sealing sect's understanding." If that's the case, Yuan Tianzong, Jin Changkong, and the other elders all had cold faces. Jin Zhangkong shouted angrily, "Then we can only take action by force and take him back from your dojo." In an instant, the disciples of the Zuin Pavilion and the Celestial Sealing School could tell that a battle was about to break out. And all of this was for the sake of a single disciple. Between the two sects, there were many disciples who knew each other. No one could have predicted that the relationship between the two sects would develop to such an extent. Many higher-ups of Zuin Pavilion looked at Zhang Suning as if they were waiting for his response. Zhang Suning slowly condensed his qi. The Celestial Sealing School is too overbearing. Yuan Tianzong said, "It's not that we're overbearing. It's just that your Zuin Pavilion has gone too far. Not only did you not return our disciple, but you even want to interrogate him. Then wouldn't our Celestial Sealing School's 7 divine abilities and secrets be known by the Zuin Pavilion?" "That's right. I've always treated the Xian Maiden Pavilion as an ally. But your actions have truly disappointed us. Forcefully abducting a disciple of our sect, how is that any different from bandits?" Jin Changkong added, "It's a fact that Feng Yu charged into our Dao Hall. You can confirm that with your own eyes. How can you easily release someone who charged into our Celestial Sealing School's Dao Hall?" Zhang Suning suddenly ordered, "Take him away." If we let you take him away, do you really think my Celestial Sealing School is weak and easy to bully?" Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. Without any hesitation, Yuan Tianzong made a grabbing motion towards the ceiling ward controlled by the 100 powerful experts. Yuan Tianzong, you and I are both experts of the same generation. It's been thousands of years since we've fought. I've been waiting for this moment for thousands of years. Qi, one of the Zuan Pavilion's elders, Zhang Suning, suddenly charged forward. He knew how terrifying Yuan Tianzong's attack was as an elder. Even if the Zuan Pavilion had 100 nascent transformation experts, they still wouldn't be able to easily take away Su Fong. Sword Qi filled the sky as it slashed toward the heavenly dragon divine claw. Boom! The two elders, who also represented the two great sects, actually began to fight just like that. The heavenly dragon divine claw and the sword Qi collided. The entire sky shattered. Space shattered. That was impossible. At the very least, no matter how strong a Tribulation Realm cultivator was, they still wouldn't be able to shatter the space of a minor world. Yuan Tianzong and Zhang Suning were both peak existences. Their attacks were so terrifying that they could shatter space. This was the power an elder of a large power should possess. Boom! The shockwaves that shattered space also sent countless experts flying. As for the restrictions that had trapped Su Fong, they were also shattered. The formation formed by 100 experts was unable to resist the power of two elders. Kill! Kill! Amidst the destruction, Su Fong didn't flee. He fled. Don't let Fong Yu take the chance to escape. The left and right sides of the Celestial Ceiling Sect and Zuan Pavilion were facing off against each other. In the shattered space above, the experts and disciples of the two powers charged towards Su Fong. Su Fong looked at the expert from both sides and shook his head disdainfully. Escape? Who says I want to escape? If I want to leave, I'm not escaping. If I want to leave, who can stop me? Jin Chongkong suddenly charged out and ordered the disciples charging towards Su Fong. Capture Fong Yu and bring him back to the sect. At this moment, a middle-aged woman appeared from the Zuan Pavilion. Jin Chongkong, I won't let you take him away. So it's Xuanjin Nun. I've never fought with women. Jin Chongkong was startled. Xuanjin Nun might be middle-aged, but her eyebrows were still as beautiful as the moon. You and I are both elders. Do you think I'm not qualified to fight with you? Don't underestimate female cultivators. Pow, pow, pow. A large number of disciples from both sides attacked each other, creating a destructive shockwave that swept towards Su Fong. In an instant, Su Fong was sucked into the shockwave. This time, even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. Don't even think about it. Several Celestial Ceiling Gates Ascension Realm disciples used their heavenly dragon divine claws to grab Su Fong. On the other side, several Zuan Pavilion female cultivators threw out a talisman. Heart-cleansing incantation. When the heavenly dragon divine claws fell, the talisman shattered. The power of the shattering shattered the heavenly dragon divine claws. Where is he? Dead. Clearly, the Zuan Pavilion's Celestial Ceiling Sect disciples were slightly stronger. After suppressing the heavenly dragon divine claws released by the Celestial Ceiling Sect disciples, they immediately arrived at the shattered shockwave. However, they couldn't see Su Fong's shadow. Chi poisonous arrows suddenly shot out from behind the shockwave. Not good. Several female cultivators screamed. Their beautiful faces turned pale. Most of them dodged, but two of them were still hit. The two injured female cultivators fell to the ground. However, one of them was immediately caught by a figure. Then, the figure disappeared mysteriously. In another area where a large number of attacks fell, the surroundings were filled with a dust storm. Their vision could only see a few feet away. The injured female cultivator suddenly saw the figure that saved her. She struggled in fear. Fong Yu. It turned out that the figure next to her was Su Fong, who had disappeared. However, his strange appearance now scared the seriously injured Zhen Qingxiao so much that she struggled in fear. Su Fong didn't make a move. Instead, he retracted his aura. Senior Sister Qingxiao, if I wanted to kill you, you would already be dead. I only saved you because I want to know if your Zuan Pavilion has already taken action against Xinjia sect. Zhen Qingxiao was worried. This is our sect's secret. As a sect master, I can't tell you. Once I tell you, I will definitely end up with my cultivation crippled. Then I won't ask anymore. I just have one last request. It's not a request, just one sentence. Help me tell Xiao Mei that I don't hate her. I hope that she can fulfill her wish at Zuan Pavilion. Sorry to disturb you. After Su Fong finished speaking, he turned around and disappeared, leaving behind an afterimage. What? What kind of speed is this? Zhen Qingxiao looked around in shock. Okay, I'll help you pass on this sentence. At this moment, activating the divine image Jade Annulus and using the Zhuo Tian realm's origin, coupled with the explosive power of the instant space ring, Su Fong perfectly hid his aura. He had arrived above the 9 heavens. With a sneer, he looked down at the Zuan Pavilion and the celestial ceiling sex experts fighting. Even the Zuan Pavilion's training hall was about to shatter. It's rare to see two big forces fighting in the Zhuotian realm. How can I miss such a good show? He smiled faintly and continued to observe the destructive aura spreading in all directions. During this time, many experts from the celestial ceiling sect and the Zuan Pavilion had entered. Buzz! All of a sudden, the power of fate began to spread in all directions from below. Su Fong's expression changed. The heaven and earth sensing technique is still based on my aura. It must be the celestial ceiling sex elder who's sensing my whereabouts. Chi. He immediately moved away and flew in another direction. Kid, what a powerful hiding ability. He didn't know that at this moment, a ray of light shot out from the depths of the sky from the Zuan Pavilion's training hall. The light contained the supreme power of the Yang soul. Not only did it want to find Su Fong's location, but it also wanted to suppress him. Whoosh, whoosh. He was an absolutely powerful expert of the ancient times. Su Fong had a way to deal with it. He took the initiative to release his aura. At the same time, he activated his blink spatial ring to dodge the attack. There's someone there. An elder from the celestial ceiling sect suddenly appeared in Su Fong's location. It's Elder Ling Shuo from the Spirit Vulture Paradise, one of the celestial ceiling sect's 7 great paradises. Su Fong smiled when he saw the elder. The Spirit Vulture Paradise's Elder Ling Shuo. He was in existence as powerful as Yuan Tianzong and Jin Chongkong. A middle-aged female expert suddenly charged over. It was Xuan Jinnun, who had fought with Jin Chongkong before. She said coldly, Elder Ling Shuo, he from the Zunf Pavilion. Pow! Just as Taoist Nun Xianjun was about to stop Elder Ling Shuo, a heavenly dragon divine claw grabbed onto her space and pulled her downwards. That damned Jin Chongkong! Xuanjin Nun cursed inwardly as she was submerged in the killing aura below. Fong Yu, come back with me. Elder Ling Shuo exploded with golden light and directly suppressed Su Fong. Elder Ling Shuo, aren't you little friend Ling Shuo? You actually became an elder. Just as Su Fong was about to dodge, he suddenly noticed something. However, he discovered something. He retreated a distance and saw a white-haired old woman suddenly crossing the void from Xian New Pavilion's Dao field. The old woman's gaze was the same one that had attacked Su Fong before. When Elder Ling Shuo saw the old woman charge over, he quickly retreated. He could only retreat. Granny Heartless, you're not dead yet. I'm not dead yet. I'm just in case you people attack the Zuan Pavilion today. The white-haired old woman didn't chase after him. Instead, she revealed her true body. She had the appearance of a woman in her 60s. She had white hair and many wrinkles on her curly face. Chapter 572. Heartless Grandma. Looking at her curly face, she did not seem as scary as before. However, that was not the case. The moment she appeared, she scared off the elders of the Vulture Grotto Heaven. Su Fong's first impression of Heartless Grandma was that she was cold-hearted and unapproachable. Su Fong was secretly alarmed. Heartless Grandma's cultivation level is very high. She should be around the same level as Li Ziqing, and even higher than the great Emperor Dipper of the Xinyuan Empire. She is almost on par with the Lord of 5 Poisons. Heartless Grandma looked at Elder Ling Shuo. Little Ling Shuo, you are not my opponent. Scram! Elder Ling Shuo was sweating. This person is a disciple of the Celestial Sealing sect. As an elder, although I am a junior in front of you, I still have to fulfill my responsibility and bring this person back to the sect. Heartless Grandma. At this moment, Jean Kong rushed to Elder Ling Shua's side and was shocked. Another brat. Heartless Grandma laughed hoarsely. What should we do, Brother Jean? How is this heartless grandma still alive? Didn't she disappear a few thousand years ago? She has cultivated for more than 10,000 years. Not long after our sect was established, she became famous. She has long reached the stage of ascension. The key is that Heartless Grandma is a famous Rakshasa in the Zhuotian domain. She is very protective of her own people. If Fang Yu really barged into their dojo, with Heartless Grandma's personality, she will not let us take him away. This person hides a knife in her smile. Not only is she protective of her own people, but she also kills without blinking. The two elders hesitated at this moment. Heartless Grandma is so powerful. Su Fang heard their conversation and glanced at Heartless Grandma. She was an existence that could not be provoked. It seemed like he could not stay here for long. He suddenly shouted to Jean Kong, "Elder, save me. I am willing to return to the sect and admit my guilt." "Forget it, kill." Jean Kong heard and immediately charged towards Su Fang with Elder Ling Shua. Bang! Who knew? Just as the two of them attacked, Heartless Grandma teleported in front of them and struck out with her palm. A large amount of green lightning was torn apart. The two elders kept retreating. Swish! Just as the three of them were about to attack, Su Fang activated his instant space ring in a timely manner and fled to the back, his speed as fast as a shooting star. What a cunning brat. Just based on your ability to cause a war between the two great powers. If I let you live, you will definitely become a great enemy of my Zuan pavilion in the future. Heartless Granny's long hair curled up, and she immediately followed the direction of Su Fang. Damned woman, she's so powerful. Chase her. Jean Kong and Elder Ling Shua crushed their teleportation talismans and flew away as well. In the depths of the void, everything was going backwards at a crazy speed. Su Fang looked behind him and saw that Heartless Granny had caught up. He was shocked. This Heartless Granny's strength is not simple. She might already be as strong as the Lord of Five Poisons. She should have reached the peak of the mortal realm. Even with my instant space ring, I still cannot outrun her. Not only did he see Heartless Granny, but he also saw Jean Kong and Elder Ling Saw behind her. The ruins of the Spirit Sect. In such a short time, he had already flown out of the Snowstorm continent. He originally wanted to fly out of the Zhuotian realm, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. He had the natural source and the instant space ring. He would only have an advantage in the Zhuotian realm. If he went to the galaxy, his cultivation level would be his greatest weakness. Heartless Granny and the two elders would have an advantage instead. In front of him, he saw the ruins of the Spirit Sect that was controlled by the Supreme God Sect. Of course, most of the ruins on the Ruin Continent were actually free ruins. There were many natural dangers there. Su Fang hurriedly flew down. Oh! Heartless Granny's expression was cold. She could see Su Fang's intention. As she formed a seal, she used the teleportation ability that mortals could not master. At this moment, her speed was slightly faster than Su Fang's. The divine image, Jade Annulus, reminded him in time. Master, be careful. Heartless Granny has already mastered the teleportation ability. After using the teleportation talisman, she is even faster than Master. Teleportation ability? If this continues, won't I lose my speed advantage? That's not it. Master, the teleportation ability cannot be used for a long time. You just have to persevere. After she exhausts her energy, she will naturally not be able to use the teleportation ability again. Exhaustion. Su Fang suddenly felt a chill on his back. Clear heart domain. The terror of teleportation divine ability made Su Fang thoroughly experience its prowess. He did not know what method Heartless Granny used, but her speed suddenly doubled. In a breath's time, her palm hit Su Fang's back. Boom! At this moment, in the water region, in the sky above the Spirit Sect's ruins, This desolate, ruined continent used to be the spirit sect's territory. Now, in the hazy sky, a shocking explosion suddenly occurred. This explosion completely lit up the sky above the spirit sect's ruins that were controlled by the supreme god sect. Boom! In the huge explosion, an uncontrollable figure was swept down the ruined continent by the impact. Coincidentally, it seemed to be a magical door that had just been activated from the forbidden area controlled by the supreme god sect. It left the sky and happened to pass by the explosion. In the end, it was directly scattered by the explosion. Hundreds of cultivators inside fell down the ruined continent together with the fragments of the magical door. Who dares to invade the territory of the supreme god sect? Among the hundreds of cultivators, a thunderous voice rang out, shaking the entire ruined continent. Damned heartless granny. It's good that she dragged the supreme god sect into this. Su Fong felt that he had lost the ability to sense his back. Fortunately, he had the divine image Jade Annulus protecting him. However, his flesh embryo divine armor had been completely shattered by heartless granny. Even when I was young, I did not chase after an enemy like this. Heartless granny teleported over, her emotionless gaze filled with cold, killing intent. Come back with me, and you may have a chance to live. Old woman, do you think I'm so easily fooled by you? Su Fong mocked back. Heartless granny released a terrifying cold chi, freezing the surroundings. The freezing power surrounded Su Fong. Then I can only suppress you by force. Whoosh! The instant space ring's ability was displayed. The attack from Heartless Granny was too terrifying, but Su Fong's speed was also strange. Moreover, he was able to use the freezing power to dodge the attacks. He could only dodge. With all his strength, he was not a match for a giant like Heartless Granny. Heartless Granny suddenly disappeared. She had teleported again. Another genius is about to be killed by this old woman. She suddenly appeared behind Su Fong, and a cold chi hit Su Fong. Crack! Su Fong trembled. His body was frozen by the cold, as if he had been sealed. Heartless Granny was truly an antique. She grabbed at the frozen Su Fong. You won't be able to escape this time. Let me tell you, this old woman's nickname is Female Rakshasa. Do you know why everyone called me that back in the day? It's because this old woman has killed at least 10,000 people in her lifetime. How can a child like you escape from this old woman's hands? With your talent, if it's the 10th stage, you still have a chance. Boom! A power that did not belong to Su Fong actually forcibly blew apart the ice shackling him. Su Fong regained his freedom and activated the teleportation talisman, flashing past Heartless Granny. Dao item, you actually have a Dao item. Heartless Granny was very surprised. Whoosh! Jin Zhongkong and Elderling Shua broke through the air. Surround those people. Don't let anyone cause trouble in the territory of the Supreme God Sect. At the same time, thousands of black-robed experts from the Supreme God Sect flew over from the ruins of the Spirit Sect. Whoosh! Su Fong immediately flew towards the disciples of the Supreme God Sect. His speed was at least faster than Jin Zhongkong and Elderling Shua. Heartless Granny chased after him, her speed even faster. She should have fused her teleportation divine ability. Many of the experts of the Supreme God Sect saw Su Fong coming and revealed sinister smiles. Catch him. Unfortunately, you Imperishable Realm, Yang Soul Realm, and Calamity Realm disciples don't even have a few Feather Transformation Realm experts. How can you block Heartless Granny? Su Fong's speed was extremely strange. Without waiting for the experts of the Supreme God Sect to attack, he had already flown into their midst. Bang! A five-fingered seal exploded from Heartless Granny's eyes. Divine runes, Heartless Granny's cultivation was too high. She didn't need to form seals when she used her divine inscriptions. Countless finger seals covered the sky above the countless disciples of the Supreme God Sect. With a swipe of his finger, the seal dissipated and shattered into pieces. Thousands of Supreme Deity Sect disciples were instantly turned into minced meat. In less than 3 breaths, the thousands of disciples of the Supreme God Sect were all turned into a sea of minced meat. Su Fong suddenly flew out of the minced meat with the divine power of a Tao artifact. Granny, you have to work harder. More experts of the Supreme God sect are coming. You brat, you don't know my methods. Oomph. However, Heartless Granny didn't personally attack this time. It turned out that before Su Fong could react, the countless finger seals and the minced meat above shot out a finger technique. With lightning speed, it hit Su Fong's back. A muffled sound rang out. This huge force came from Heartless Granny's attack. Although it didn't shatter the protective Tao artifact released by the divine image Jade Annulus. However, part of it penetrated the Tao artifact Jade Annulus and hit Su Fong's body. This vibration caused Su Fong's body to shatter instantly. The tearing force spread from head to toe. Heartless Granny, Su Fong struggled numbly. However, his body was shattered and he couldn't use any strength. He looked at Heartless Granny with hatred. Snatch! At this moment, Jin Zhongkong and Elderling Suo saw the opportunity and attacked Su Fong. Papa! However, Heartless Granny's speed was too shocking. Before the two of them could get close to Su Fong, she waved her hand and made them unable to get close. The two elders also executed their skills and blasted a large number of skills towards Heartless Grandma. Kill these 4 people. A new wave of experts from the Supreme God sect came. Not only were there experts from the Supreme God sect, there were also many cultivators from the ruins of the Spirit sect. They were watching the show from all directions. This time, there were tens of thousands of people from the Supreme God sect. A large number of winged transformation realm experts, led by many elders, rushed over. Supreme God sect. Heartless Granny was entangled by the two elders and couldn't catch Su Fong for a while. As for the hundreds of Ascendant Transformation Realm cultivators from the Supreme God sect, they immediately surrounded the 3 of them as they fought. The Supreme God sect prepared to attack, but someone recognized them and said, It's the 2 elders of the Celestial Sealing Gate. What? Countless experts were shocked. How could it be the elders of the Celestial Sealing Gate? The Supreme God sect and the Celestial Sealing Gate had always minded their own business. Why were they fighting here? Moreover, thousands of disciples had been killed by these 2. Jin Zhongkong shouted, Everyone, we're only here to save our disciples. Those thousands of disciples of yours were killed by Heartless Granny. We're not your enemies. Zuan Pavilion's female lunatic, whose name once shook the entire Zhuotian world. That's her? When the elders of the Supreme God sect heard the name Heartless Granny, they were so scared that they didn't dare to move forward. Heartless Granny looked at the crowd. Her divine aura immediately proved that she was a peerless expert. 2 sects. It's best if you don't come near my sect's territory. Everyone retreat. The experts of the Supreme God sect quickly made their decision. Tens of thousands of people quickly retreated. Bang! At this moment, Su Fong's evil chi surged. Blood horns grew out of his shoulders, and he looked at his hands with bloodshot eyes. I'm not strong enough. I need power, peerless power. Chapter 573. Heavily injured. Facing Heartless Grandma's 2 attacks, even with the power of the divine image Jade Annulus, he was unable to completely dissolve the huge force. His strength made him feel like he was wearing a suit of armor. This armor that protected his body was the power of the divine image Jade Annulus. Although Heartless Grandma's attack was dissolved by the power of the divine image Jade Annulus, the force still managed to penetrate it. Within the divine aperture, Ur said, Master, the Black Lotus true body and the power of the Great Circle did not help you recover your energy, but after the blood transformation, the power of the blood transformation made your body explode. As long as I control my consciousness and don't enter a berserk state, I only need the power of the blood transformation. Blood horns grew out of Su Fong's shoulders. He looked up and said, If I don't use my full strength, I will be killed by this evil woman. Everyone back off. The Supreme God sect was intimidated by Heartless Grandma, and tens of thousands of people left the sky. Only 4 people were left. Although the Supreme God sect was strong and had a strong foundation, and their business was doing very well these years, they were still considered evil sects in the Zhuotian domain. They did not dare to go against the righteous sects openly. Heartless Grandma's white hair floated slightly. Jin Zhangkong, Elder Ling Suo, don't provoke this old woman. You know her character. When I want to kill someone, no one can save me. Elder Ling Suo's attitude was very firm. Fang Yu is a disciple of the Celestial Bestowment sect. If we hand him over to the Zuin Pavilion in front of all the cultivators in the world, how will our sect establish itself in the Zhuotian domain in the future? All right, if you want to die, this old woman will not show mercy. Bang! Finished speaking. Heartless Grandma, who was still 1,000 meters away from Su Fang, suddenly disappeared. Teleportation. True teleportation is beyond teleportation talismans. Teleportation talismans were created by such big shots. Immortals. Immortals. The surrounding cultivators were once again intimidated by Heartless Grandma's speed. Su Fang was the first to react. He activated his instant space ring and jumped out from his original position. He grabbed at the air where he was previously and burned with green flames. Green murderous giant palm. Wah! This speed was not any slower than Heartless Grandma. When the Celestial Sealing Sect's green murderous true fire hit the air, Heartless Grandma shattered it. Heartless Granny was not afraid of the green fiery primordial fire. She used her powers to suppress the terrifying primordial fire. Another flash of thunder. He stared at Su Fang from the sky, his gaze distant. Brat, you're only at the first level of the catastrophe stage. How did you manage to control the Celestial Sealing School's green fiend, True Flame, so skillfully? Swish swish. The third person appeared midway. Jin Zhangkong. He punched out, probably using the Jade Sky Cold Mystery technique. The momentum of his fist turned into ice and blocked Heartless Granny from attacking Su Fang. Ka-ka! Heartless Granny left behind an afterimage as she passed through the frozen space. Jin Zhangkong's power behind her was also shattered. Su Fang hurriedly activated his instant space ring and flew towards the Supreme God Sect. However, Heartless Grandma did not give him the chance. She seemed to know what Su Fang was thinking. He wanted to kill his way into the Supreme God Sect and drag this evil sect into it. Pathground was not a place where one could go as they wished. Su Fang was like a jumping fish as he flashed around in the sky, avoiding Heartless Granny's pursuit. Heartless Granny was even faster. She seemed to be determined to capture Su Fang. She came to the front and intercepted Su Fang. Elder Ling Shuo rushed over to help. Fang Yu, the Great Elder, just passed down a decree. If you join forces with us to deal with Heartless Granny, you will still be his supremacy's disciple when you return to the sect. Brat, do you think he's a fool? Before Su Fang could reply, Heartless Granny, who was charging over, gave him a reply. She turned into snowflake-like sword chi in the surroundings. The cold air was dense. She first attacked Elder Ling Shuo before taking the opportunity to sweep towards Su Fang. These snowflake-like sword chi did not destroy anything in its path. Instead, it froze everything in its path. If an ordinary winged transformation realm cultivator came into contact with these snowflake-like sword chi, they would not be hacked to death but frozen to death. Boom! Jin Zhangkong rushed over. When Elder Ling Shuo was forced back by the snowflake sword chi and Su Fang was trapped in the cold air, he blasted out streaks of heavenly dragon divine claws with killing intent towards Heartless Grandma. Your cultivation isn't high, and you want to kill me? I've lived for over 10,000 years. When I met the experts of the Immortal Sealing Sect, you didn't even exist. Snow Domain was frozen. Under the attacks of the two elders, Heartless Granny was also restricted. She wanted to capture Su Fang too much. If she was late, the Immortal Sealing Sect might send more experts over. At that time, no matter how strong she was, she could defeat the entire Immortal Sealing Sect. This old woman, heaven-worshipping palm art. The surrounding 10 miles of sky was swept by the cold air. Su Fang could see Heartless Granny's dominating aura. If he didn't react and escape, he would be in danger. Pow, pow, pow. He was protected by the giant. The giant opened its palms and attacked with the heaven-worshipping palm art under its blood transformation state. The cold air around them was shattered. Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling Shuo also pushed their strength to the peak. They even used their king-grade magic treasures. Their magic treasures were like the heaven-defying golden light sword, or even more powerful. They were almost as tall as the Rakshasa jade vase. Pow, pow, pow. The cold air began to shackle the surrounding 10 miles of sky. Rumbling sounds could be heard from 3 directions. The surrounding 10 miles was filled with destructive energy. Whether it was the tens of thousands of disciples of the Supreme God sect or the cultivators watching, they all fled. I don't need any magic treasures to seal you 2 brats. Heartless Granny's domain of cold air hadn't even fully formed when the 2 elders used their magic treasures to destroy it. She formed another hand seal. This time, cold air erupted from Heartless Granny's body like a river of stars. This cold air swept out 10 miles of sky, reaching 100 miles in an instant. Several hundred disciples of the Supreme God sect nearby didn't even have time to react before they turned into frozen corpses. Heartless Granny was actually controlling the entire sky. It was unbelievable that her godly image and power could reach such a large area. Su Fong felt that the cold air had increased tenfold. He was suppressed to the point that he couldn't breathe. Heartless Granny is too strong. If she had used her true strength before, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to escape from the Zuan Pavilion. He looked at the other side. The 2 elders were also in a bad state. Fortunately, they were elders of the Celestial Sealing sect and had king-grade magic treasures. They weren't completely suppressed and could still break the surrounding cold air. Spiritual puppets. 2 figures flew out from Heartless Granny's palms. They were 2 Ascension Realm cultivators. The only difference was that they seemed to be made of wood. Although they were breathing, their movements weren't normal at all. Slaves. Even her slaves are so powerful. Su Fong hurriedly used the Jade Sky Cold Mysterious technique and absorbed the 9 Qi to kill his way to the edge of the cold air. Papa. The 2 slave puppets had the same cultivation as Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling Shuo. They also took out their magic treasures and activated the cold air to kill the 2 elders. Kid, don't expect the Celestial Sealing sect to save you. Look at Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling Shuo. They can only wait for death. Heartless Granny appeared strangely in the direction Su Fong was escaping. She had a cold smile on her face, and a magic staff appeared in her hand. It was a magic staff carved out of ice and inlaid with many gems. It was also a surpassing Rakshasa jade vase, a peerless magic treasure that was close to the Xianhuang's 6 Paths Pagoda. With such a magic treasure and Heartless Granny's peerless cultivation, other than immortals, who else could be her opponent? Boom! Su Fong pushed his strength to the extreme. He punched the cold air that was pressing towards him. Step by step, he broke through the cold air and moved forward with difficulty. But with this speed and strength, when could he leave the sky controlled by Heartless Granny? What a fool's dream. Still not giving up? Granny hasn't even made a move yet. If you surrender now, Granny can promise you that you can keep your life in Zuan's Pavilion. You can survive. What if I continue to resist? Little brat, if you really want to die, then that old woman will capture you alive and bring you back to Xiannu Pavilion. She will use an illusion technique to strip away all your memories. After that, there are many ways for you to die. She will cripple your cultivation and slowly wait for death. Or she will torture you every day, or she will slice you into pieces. That old woman has killed too many people, so she doesn't mind killing a mortal cultivator like you. At her level, she is already heartless, and her life is like a straw dog. You are a crazy woman who eats people without spitting out their bones. I will not bow down to you even if I die. That's right. Granny is a woman who eats people without spitting out their bones. She will use an illusion to control your consciousness and steal your memory. Your secrets, cultivation methods, and magic treasures will all become part of Zuan's Pavilion. Dream on. After hearing this, Su Fong's heart sank. What was the use of being afraid? The only thing he could do was resist, struggle, and kill his way out of the hands of Big Shot. With a thought, the aura of a Dao item surged out. Master, Ewer has already fused with Master's body. Master, don't use the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. That's because Heartless Granny's overall strength is enough to contend with the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Charge. The Dao item's divine might increased Su Fang's strength to the winged transformation realm. At the same time, he used the Flaming Cloud Steps and the Flaming Cloud Wings. Chi Chi Peng, Pengwen, the Flaming Cloud Wings flapped. The cold chi was torn apart. When the Flaming Cloud Steps were used, one step was enough to destroy the cold chi. In addition to the Dao item's divine might, the range and speed of Su Fang's cold chi were becoming more and more shocking. Who is that young man? He's so powerful. The two elders of the Celestial Sealing Sect are shackled by Heartless Granny, but he can still escape. I think I heard the elders of the Celestial Sealing Sect mention that he's called Fang Yu. Fang Yu? Isn't he the genius who escaped from the Celestial Jia Gate and became the fourth venerated Dao disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect? Why is the venerated Dao disciple turning against the Celestial Sealing Sect? The Celestial Sealing Sect seems to have become enemies with the Zuin Pavilion. They're no longer allies. Who cares? This isn't the Celestial Sealing Sect, nor is it the Zuin Pavilion. They can't do anything about us. But that Fang Yu is really powerful. He's only at the first catastrophe realm, but he can fight against the legendary Heartless Granny, who's even stronger than the Grand Elder. Whether it was the disciples of the Supreme God Sect or the cultivators outside, they were all paying attention to the battle between the four. The most dazzling of them all was naturally Su Fang. Within the cold chi domain, Heartless Granny watched Su Fang's cold chi shatter the space. Dao item? You've actually fused with a Dao item to such an extent. Su Fang sneered. Otherwise, how do you think I'm fighting with an old antique like you? Do you really think I'm a weakling who can't be killed by you? Heartless Granny, listen carefully. In the future, I'll personally destroy the Zuin Pavilion. You actually dared to use me to obtain the Celestial Jia Gate, and you even used the woman I care about the most. Heartless Granny slowly moved. Isn't it just a woman? I can kill a bunch of disciples like her. Since you care, then listen carefully. Not only will you not be able to destroy the Zuin Pavilion, you won't be able to leave alive today. Furthermore, when I return to the Zuin Pavilion, I'll take the head of that female disciple you're talking about. Since ancient times, beauties are the source of trouble. Chapter 574. Since ancient times, beautiful women have caused trouble. Su Fangdao was furious. You're talking about the woman I love the most. Then you won't be able to attain the Dao. Heartless Grandma's wrinkles stood up. What does it have to do with you, crazy woman? If I can't attain the Dao, there will be a day when I will destroy you and Zuin Pavilion. Today, I will kill you first. Crack. Heartless Granny's killing intent exploded as well. She controlled the cold chi domain and instantly sealed the cold chi that Su Fang had spent so much effort to break. Pa! Pa! With the divine image, Jade Wall's aura, and Su Fang's strength, the surrounding cold domain had already started to freeze, turning into an absolute frozen world. So what? It cannot block Su Fang's fists. With a punch and a kick, the frozen space started to shatter, but the shattering area was less than 10 feet. Whoosh! Heartless Grandma came in front of Su Fang and instantly formed a seal. Domain freeze. Chi! Chi! The frozen space around Su Fang formed a large number of ice chains. The chains absorbed the essence of the cold domain and looked like fried dough twists in the domain. Edgeless heavy sword. Looking at the ice chains coming from all directions, and at this moment, an unparalleled cold domain shackled him, making it hard for him to breathe. The edgeless sword appeared and slashed at the chains. The chains came from Heartless Grandma, so how could they not be broken by the edgeless sword? Heartless Grandma's seal seemed to be stuck. Because of the shackles, she could not completely suppress Su Fang. With her strength, Su Fang should have already been frozen. Even if he was not frozen, his body should have been trapped in the cold domain, and he could not move. However, he could still use his divine abilities and magic treasures. Heartless Grandma's aura became even colder. Good lad, under the shackles of the divine image space, not only can you use your divine abilities, but you also have such a powerful magic treasure. A magic treasure with the aura of the world. Your luck is too strong. It seems like you have taken all the benefits in the world. Today, everything you have belongs to my Zuinf pavilion. Let's see how long a first-layer catastrophe cultivator like you can last. Even if you have a Tao item, you have to use your true chi to activate it. To be honest, I'm not sure if I can handle a Tao item. Kid, you have a lot of tricks up your sleeve. I won't easily get close to you. Heartless Granny revealed an amiable smile. For someone like her, she would either not smile, or if she did, she would definitely be ruthless. Su Fong had already cursed Heartless Granny 1,000 times in his heart. In fact, what she said was very true. At this moment, apart from the 6 Yang Meridians, the Dharma Spirit, the Dragon-Taming Wood, and the Golden Core of Origin, all the true chi in his meridians had been exhausted. Now, he had no choice but to use the true chi of the 6 Yang Meridians. Pa Path Edgeless, sword shattered one ice chain after another. The power of the Tao artifact was also protecting it from the shackles of the cold chi. If it wasn't for the divine image, Jade Annulus, Su Fong would have consumed even more energy. Even if he used the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda, he could still contend against Heartless Granny. However, Heartless Granny's Dharma treasure and strength were comparable to the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. If she used the power of her Dharma treasure, Su Fong wouldn't be able to do anything to her, and she wouldn't be able to shackle him. However, the consumption would be 100 times more severe than using the Tao artifact. At the very least, the power of the Tao artifact was something that Heartless Granny was wary of. Su Fong was trapped in the domain of cold chi. He kept shattering the ice chains, but in reality, he was trapped in the shackles of Heartless Granny. Jin Chankong and Elder Ling Shua couldn't break free from the entanglement of the 2 slaves. In addition to the shackles of the cold chi, the 2 of them couldn't kill Heartless Granny in a short time. It seemed that soon, when Su Fong's energy was almost depleted, Heartless Granny would definitely deal a fatal blow to Su Fong. He couldn't continue like this. After persevering for a while, Su Fong saw the situation clearly. He immediately released more energy to activate the divine image Jade Annulus, preparing to break through the domain of cold chi. That evil granny is a righteous expert. I'll use the Blood Hell Wolf smoke. It just so happens that I've recently fused with this evil force. I don't believe that I'm not afraid of the poison. Could it be that she isn't? The only way was to meet force with force and confront each other head-on. There was no room for any schemes or methods. If one was trapped under absolute power, only power could break through the shackles. The divine image Jade Annulus's aura increased by a bit. Heartless Granny sensed it and smiled even more amiably. She seemed to know that Su Fong was going to go all out. Whoosh, whoosh. She stepped out with the fire cloud steps again, shattering the ice that was 10 feet tall. She struck out with both hands. It was actually blood red and black blood hell wolf smoke. The burning poisonous flames were terrifying, and the poison was even more terrifying. Creak. The effect was immediate. The blood hell wolf smoke's greatest power was the blood poison. However, the flames also contained a terrifying power. Together with the blood poison, after the explosion, the surrounding ice was devoured by the poison. Brat, you can even control such an evil force. You dare to cultivate? No wonder you ended up as a demonic maniac. This granny will not give you any chance. Who would have thought that the ice layer would be devoured by the blood hell wolf smoke? Heartless Granny also seemed to be wary of the poison. She seemed to have realized that if this continued, the blood hell wolf smoke would burn a huge hole in the ice domain. She immediately formed a seal. Boom! Boom! At this moment, an even more powerful ice shackling force pressed down on Su Fong and the burning blood hell wolf smoke. After an intense pressure, the blood hell wolf smoke was actually unable to devour the ice layer. Furthermore, Su Fong also felt that his body was unable to move freely. Seal. Something even more terrifying happened. A large number of ice chains sealed within the ice layer penetrated through. Su Fong immediately activated the divine image Jade Annulus. This evil granny is really powerful. Don't let the seal solidify. Buzz. Buzz. The divine power of a Tao artifact spread out around Su Fong. As expected of a Tao artifact, it actually shattered the ice chains sealing around his body. A Tao artifact's protection was just that awesome. Boom! Su Fong, whose movements had been restricted, let out a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a huge block of ice struck him from behind, coming from the divine image Jade Annulus. With this jolt, Su Fong felt that his body was about to be forcefully separated from the divine image Jade Annulus. Su Fong spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked at Heartless Granny in front of him. At this moment, her forehead was covered in sweat as she formed another seal. Heartless Granny sighed deeply. How many years has it been? I thought that before I passed away, I would no longer be able to use my full strength. But today I met you, a first-layer catastrophe cultivator, and you forced me to use my full strength. But you don't need to be so proud. If you didn't have a Tao artifact, you would have died at my hands long ago. Su Fong was instantly heavily injured. He immediately communicated with his primordial spirit. Master, you can't use more of Yuer's power. With Yuer's current power, he can only protect Master. The opponent is too strong. If this continues, Yuer will only be able to dissolve a portion of Master's power. Yuer said helplessly. All right, then do your best to resist the outside world's power. I'll use the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda to protect my body. Even with the Tao artifact, he still ended up in such a state. Su Fong couldn't understand. Anger began to burn in his heart. He also activated the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, releasing his innate power. Bang! Behind him, another huge block of ice that came from Heartless Granny's true power struck the divine image Jade Annulus. Heartless Granny wasn't fighting with Su Fong at all. She was clearly fighting with a Tao artifact. She had used all of her power to forcibly shatter the Tao artifact's power, or at least shake Su Fong's body until it couldn't bear the weight of the Tao artifact and force it out of his body. As long as Su Fong didn't have a Tao artifact, an old antique like her could easily suppress Su Fong 10,000 times over. Tao artifact Heartless Granny was about to die. She had one foot in the coffin, and she was so angry that she didn't know when this would end. She refused to believe that a Tribulation Realm cultivator like him could control a Tao artifact to such a degree when even a winged transformation expert couldn't control it. Boom! Another piece of ice struck the power of the divine image Jade Annulus. About half of its power entered Su Fong's body. His blood transformation body was torn apart once more. And this was even with the protection of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Even with two magical treasures protecting him, he was still heavily injured. I thought that with the divine image Jade Annulus, I would be able to move unhindered in the mortal world. I thought that with world energy, I would be able to move unhindered. I didn't think I would still be a weakling through and through. She immediately activated the Awa Tian Realm's core. Adding on the 9 in Shi, she transformed it into a supreme ice defense. Brat, you're infuriating me. Is he still a junior? Heartless Granny sensed that Su Fong's defense had been strengthened once more. It actually made an old antique like her feel powerless. All junior commanders, listen up. Give me all your strength. Yes, master. At this time, the true Qi in his 6 Yang meridians had been almost completely exhausted. Su Fong ordered the 93 junior commanders and the senior commander, the Vermilion Emperor, to pour all their strength into his body. Soon, Su Fong had merged with nearly 100 big goblin strength. Chi-Chi, his strength was too terrifying. Adding on the support of world energy, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, the divine image Jade Annulus, and so on, Su Fong's strength had reached an unprecedented height. It was unknown whether it was the demonic Qi that affected Su Fong, His body burned with an evil energy. The bloody horns on his shoulders grew even more, burning with an evil aura. His eyes, in particular, were already empty. Zuin Pavilion deserves to die. You deserve to die too. If not for Zuin Pavilion, Mayer would not have left me and betrayed me. Zuin Pavilion deserves to die. Every disciple deserves to die. Heartless Granny, I, Su Fong, will suppress you and make you my servant forever. I will capture every disciple of Zuin Pavilion and make them submit to me. In the gloomy sky above the ruins of the spirit sect, Su Fong waved his arms and roared angrily. His roar shook every corner of the continent. Heartless Granny was shocked. Berserk state, no. It means that Berserk will burn one's potential. After entering the Berserk state, one's strength will increase countless times. But it can't be like him, increasing his strength by 10 times. Boom, boom, boom. Grabbing the edgeless sword, an evil sword chi with the divine might of the divine image, Jade Annulus shot out. With just one sword strike, Su Fong's burning evil power was able to split open the cold chi space in front of him for dozens of kilometers. Bang! It was too terrifying, peerless, and heaven-defying. As it slashed apart nearly half of the cold air, Heartless Granny spat out a mouthful of blood. Unfilial son, take my mystical ability. Heartless Granny suddenly appeared. After forming a seal, a huge piece of ice above Su Fong turned into an icicle and fell towards Su Fong. Swish! He slashed at the icicle. Chi! The evil sword chi of the edgeless sword sliced apart a few dozen feet of ice, but it did not destroy the icicle. Su Fong slashed a few more times, but he was still unable to completely destroy the icicle. It was also at this moment that the icicle hit the defensive layer of the divine might of the Tao artifact above his head. This jolt almost caused the divine might of the Tao artifact to disappear. Su Fong's edgeless sword left his hand. His entire body trembled and swayed without a trace of spirit. Dying. After receiving Heartless Granny's all-out attack, Su Fong was already under the control of Berserk. He was in a state of delirium. If he was still conscious, he would have been able to react. It was as if he had entered the depths of his consciousness again. Chapter 575. Boom! After the icicle hit Su Fong, not only did it destroy the divine image Jade Annulus defensive divine might, but it also destroyed his body, which was in the state of divine image Jade Annulus. He felt as if his divine image magic treasure was about to be torn apart from his body. However, that was all. If that terrifying icicle attacked the supreme god sect from here, it could destroy most of the land. The icicle also shattered, and the fragments drowned Su Fong. Perhaps he would be suppressed by Heartless Grandma like this. Damn crazy woman. Our hidden disciples in the Supreme God sect should have communicated with the sect's higher-ups and sent reinforcements. Why are they not here yet? Fong Yu has fallen into her hands. Xinjia Gate has nothing to do with our celestial sealing sect. The entire 100 li of cold qi shackled the air. On the other side, Jin Zhongkong and Elderling Shuo were suppressed by the cold qi shackling the ice layer. They were unable to break through the ice layer and attack Su Fong. Furthermore, there were two equally powerful slaves attacking the two. They could only watch as Su Fong fell into Heartless Grandma's hands. Do you think I can't take down a catastrophe realm disciple with my full strength? I have cultivated for more than 10,000 years. Although I can't ascend and can only pass away, I can still exchange a few moves with an immortal. A mere celestial sealing sect. Other than that mysterious young leader, who else can be my match? Xiao Yun, Taoist Wuzhen, Exalted Yuezhen. Heartless Grandma flew towards the ice layer that shattered like a jar. A large number of ice chains shot out from her palm, wanting to seal Su Fong and take him away. Whoosh! The ice layer in front of her suddenly flashed with cold qi. Heartless Grandma thought her eyes were playing tricks on her. Bang! In the blink of an eye, the indestructible edgeless sword passed through the cold qi. The sword carried an evil power and was so fast that heartless grandma could only defend herself. Bang! The heavy, edgeless sword slashed above heartless grandma's defense. Many of her white bones were broken. While she was still in shock, Su Fong, who had entered a berserk state, swept out with edgeless sword and blasted heartless grandma out of the cold chi space. She blasted a huge hole in the cold chi layer that she passed through. "Stop me! Die! Kill me! Die! Laughing at me! Die!" Su Fong, who had lost most of his consciousness and was almost controlled by the evil power, had a pair of eyes that were burning with an extremely evil blood-red flame. He activated the instant space ring and burned it. Along with the broken layer of ice that heartless grandma had shaken out, he actually chased after her with the edgeless sword. When Fong Yu entered a berserk state, his strength actually reached such a level. Both you and I, that's not his true power. It's a combination of a Tao item, a consummate magical item, and an evil technique. Add that to the fact that he's in berserk mode, and he's even stronger than before, and he'll be drained of all of his true energy and life force. Eventually, Pai Kwong will drain him of all of his energy, and he'll become a corpse. Fine, it's good that we can injure heartless Granny. Let's take advantage of the weakening of the cold chi and kill our way out. One of us will hold back the two servants, while the other will deal with heartless Granny. 100 miles of cold air froze the space, and the shackling power was greatly weakened. After Jin Zhongkong and Elderling Shuo sighed, their gazes became stern. They urged their magic treasures to charge out of the cold air space. I didn't expect that this brat would be able to kill me to this extent. Pai Kwong is even more terrifying than the legends say. If we can't fight him head-on when he's at his strongest, we'll exhaust our strength. When the experts of the immortal sealing sect come, it'll be hard for me to capture this brat. Let Pai Kwong devour his mind and endlessly burn his true energy and life force. After a while, it'll be much easier to suppress him. Heartless Granny, who had shaken out 100 miles of cold air space, was facing Su Fong. Her gaze darkened, and cold air exploded. She used her teleportation divine ability, nimbly dodging the evil sword chi of Su Fong's heavy sword. Oh no, the sword chi is falling towards us. Heartless Granny dodged the sword. However, the evil sword chi of Su Fong's heavy sword continued to slash towards the sky below. Below them were thousands of disciples of the Supreme God sect. They didn't expect that the evil sword chi would slash down like this. A portion of the Ascendant Transformation Realm disciples led the Catastrophe Realm disciples to use their magic treasures to block it, while the majority of the Yang Soul Realm and Imperishable Realm disciples fled for their lives. Chi, the sword chi hit the defensive layer of the thousands of disciples of the Supreme God sect. The sword chi left behind dazzling sparks and instantly cut through the defensive layer. More than 1,000 experts were turned into a bloody mist. As for the thousands of disciples who fled, most of them who were slow were turned into meat paste by the remaining power. Moreover, the remaining power of the sword chi also landed on the ruins of the spirit sect, causing the land to tremble. Just as Su Fong lost his mind and let Pai Kwong devour life force, burn his true energy, and absorb the power of his magic treasures, deep in the space of Xianhuang's Six Paths Pagoda, the Vermilion Emperor sat cross-legged in front of the 93 junior commanders, releasing the demonic chi in his body. The most terrifying part was his demonic chi as an ancient mutated beast. This emperor is high above, a descendant of the God clan. Su Fong is suppressed by a human like you. This emperor's evil power isn't something a human like you can easily purify. If you absorb this king's power, you will fall into the demonic path, lose your mind, and enter insanity. This time, I'll let you absorb the small commander's power. The more resentment you absorb, the more likely it is that I'll be able to control your consciousness in the shortest amount of time possible. I'll make you break free from the shackles of my fused consciousness. That way, I'll be able to regain my freedom and take over your physical body. With the demon god's fury in hand, that dog's hit granny outside won't be able to withstand my 3 lashes. The Vermilion Emperor sneered malevolently, his resentment boiling. However, his expression wasn't seen by the junior commanders behind him, Bai Ling and Gu Shizhen. Kill, kill, kill. Shackles of cold chi and ice. Su Fong, whose mind was corroded by resentment, turned around and waved his heavy sword. Heartless Granny looked at the previous sword with an ugly expression. She knew that Su Fong's sword strength had reached a shocking level. Chi. Another sword swept over. Heartless Granny teleported and brushed past the sword chi. The sword chi struck the ground below. After 3 breaths, the ground rumbled. Whoosh! Su Fong, whose mind had been devoured by Pai Kuang, chased after Heartless Granny. It seemed that even though his mind had been devoured, he was determined to kill Heartless Granny. Heartless Granny dodged another sword. She saw Su Fong's head gradually turning white. Moreover, his evil aura had an astonishing vitality. She sneered coldly and immediately flew towards the 100 li of cold chi space that was still floating in the air. Su Fong chased after her, and the shackles of the cold chi space suddenly increased to the previous level. Su Fong's sword strength couldn't completely split the cold chi apart. This attack should be able to finish you off, right? Heartless Granny, whose whereabouts were unknown, appeared in Su Fong's mountain house while Su Fong was searching for her. Another huge icicle fell towards Su Fong. This time, Su Fong didn't appear. Boom! It seemed that the divine power of the Tao item was protecting Su Fong, helping him dodge. However, the icicle still struck his aura. The destructive power completely shattered the layer of ice that Su Fong was in. He fell from the broken layer of ice and quickly reached the air before falling back to the ground. That Fong Yu is really strong. The immortal Sealing Gate's disciple is too monstrous. Then wouldn't the other 3 be even stronger? Who knows? So what if he's strong? He's still a bit weaker than that old fart Heartless Granny. It's a pity that if Fong Yu's cultivation improved a bit more, perhaps even Heartless Granny wouldn't be able to suppress him today. There were at least 100,000 cultivators 100 li away. It was unknown how many experts there were. All kinds of cultivators had gathered together, and the experts among them were deeply imprinting the entire battle in their minds. You made me lose most of my core. Damn it. Heartless Granny flew out of the ice layer. She had been completely confident in grabbing Su Fong, but when she suddenly looked in front of her, she immediately used a teleportation grand divine ability to grab Su Fong. Grand Elder Xiao Yun is here. Jin Zhongkong was panting within the cold chi, but he actually laughed. Heartless Granny. As the ice fell to the ground, Heartless Granny suddenly appeared. Just as Heartless Granny was about to grab Su Fong, a figure in front of her also used a teleportation grand divine ability. The 2 of them were above Su Fong, and their palms met. Boom! The 2 of them were sent flying at the same time. It was the immortal Sealing Gate's Grand Elder, Xiao Yun. Heartless Granny looked coldly at the falling Su Fong. She glanced at Xiao Yun. It's been several thousand years. Little brat Xiao Yun, you've almost caught up to me. Xiao Yun replied courteously, I still remember how you killed countless demons back then. Please hand Fong Yu over to my immortal Sealing Gate. I don't want to offend you. Offend you? I'm afraid that our 2 sects have already shed all pretense of cordiality. I won't let you take him away. Then I won't be courteous. You've used up a lot of your core. I didn't expect a disciple of my sect to embarrass you like this. You make it sound so simple. In my opinion, your immortal Sealing Gate doesn't understand this brat called Fong Yu. He's strong enough to kill you. Junior won't be courteous. I'm not so weak as to be courteous to you. Chi. The 2 peerless old antiques once again grabbed at Su Fong, who was falling rapidly from the wind. Interesting. But, beside the 2 of them, a black-robed man appeared in the state of space and speed, almost parallel to the 2 of them. The appearance of this black-clothed man made Heartless Granny and Xiao Yun, the 2 famous giants of the Zhuotian world, break out in cold sweat. The black-clothed man glanced at the 2 of them, but didn't make a move. His gaze then landed on Su Fong. "It's this brat. I finally found you." "Sir." Xiaoyan saw that the black-clothed man was also looking at Su Fong. He was certain that he had come for Su Fong. He couldn't help but lower himself. "I'm the immortal Sealing Gate's Grand Elder Xiaoyan. Please step back. This is my immortal Sealing Gate's disciple." When was the immortal Sealing Gate established? The black-clothed man's expression didn't change at all. Instead, he looked at Heartless Granny. "This old, which is an expert from the Zuin Pavilion. I have some impression of the Zuin Pavilion. I remember that in my era, the Zuin Pavilion was considered a major power. I remember that it was in the Snow Wind Continent. If you don't know what's good for you, then I'll have to take action." Xiao Yun was furious. The strange thing was that Heartless Granny actually slowed down. It seemed like she didn't want to chase after Fong Yu. "You're courting death. How dare you ignore my immortal Sealing Gate?" Great Elder Xiao Yun pushed out a vast yellow palm print toward the black-clothed man. Boom! The black-clothed man didn't dodge, nor did he make a move. He allowed Xiao Yun's palm to hit him. The yellow palm exploded, but it didn't injure the black-clothed man. It was unknown if the black-clothed man made a move. With a whistling sound, Grand Elder Xiao Yun was sent flying. In the blink of an eye, the black-clothed man raised Su Fong in front of him. Author's words. The 3 days of the Dragon Boat Festival ended just like that. The weather was too hot, so if I stayed at home for 3 days, it would be too hot at the end of the month. Chapter 576. The black-clothed man lifted the weightless Su Fong like a little chick. Su Fong was still in a berserk state, being burned by the evil flame. No wonder that old woman left. She met a tough opponent. A few kilometers away, Grand Elder Xiao Yun was heavily injured. It was as if he had only been lightly hit by the black-clothed man. The black-clothed man looked at Heartless Grandma. "What do you mean your celestial sealing sect and Zuin Pavilion is mine? Where did you come from?" Heartless Grandma asked. The black-clothed man was about to say something when he suddenly looked to the left and right. He saw hundreds of experts from the celestial sealing sect and Zuin Pavilion using teleportation talismans. "Who am I? Are you looking for me for revenge?" "Haha, your cultivation is not bad, but you have Zuin Pavilion behind you. Don't think you could do anything to me. In this Shuatian world, there is only one person who can stop me." So, after he finished speaking, the black-clothed man took Su Fong and vanished in a thin air under the gazes of everyone present. "Damn it, that's my celestial sealing sect disciple." Jin Changkong and Elder Ling Shua chased. They suddenly realized that they couldn't even catch the black-clothed man's aura. How could they chase? Even if the celestial sealing sect and Zuin Pavilion sent reinforcements, they could only look up at the sky. However, the experts of the two sects immediately faced each other in the sky. Forbidden Snow Forest. This place is one of the natural barriers of the Zhuotian world. It has a complicated galaxy and world energy. It will allow me to avoid the powerful Zhuotian world lord. In an instant, the mysterious black-clothed man arrived at the natural barrier of the Snow Wind Continent. Forbidden Snow Forest. Su Fong entered a certain valley in the forest that was filled with snowflakes and all kinds of cold air. The black-clothed man set up a barrier before sucking Su Fong out of the profound light. Berserk. The black-clothed man sized him up. "Tao artifact, primordial spirit. I have no intention of harming your master. You should think of a way to wake him up from his berserk state. I still have to hide my aura and not let Zhuotian world lord sense me." He could see Su Fong's condition at a glance, as well as the divine power of the divine image jade annulus that permeated his body. Letting Su Fong float on the snowy ground, he went to the side and injected more mysterious seals into the barrier. Master. Inside the divine aperture, Su Fong's young infant was already dispirited, and the aura in his armor and divine aperture were all evil and resentful. His young infant had also turned gray. The original spirits of the divine image, Jade Annulus, and the Rakshasa Jade had been urging their mana to summon the consciousness of Su Fong. But until now, there was no result. In the depths of his consciousness, a large amount of evil aura formed the Vermilion Sovereign's evil true body. Its eyes flickered with blood-red resentment, like flames burning in the core of the earth, and it spat out a large amount of evil air from its mouth, sweeping towards the illusory figures of Su Fang's consciousness. A large amount of Su Fang's consciousness was devoured by the Vermilion Emperor's evil aura. Vermilion Emperor, you're actually devouring Master's consciousness. What are you trying to do? When you used the Six Paths Pagoda to fuse with Master's life, you actually secretly controlled our power and used the evil power to control Master's consciousness. In the depths of the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda space, suddenly, the Heavenly Snow Flying Raccoon, Heavenly Domain Snow Lion, Water Snake Big Goblin, Heavenly King Guy, Leech King, and the other junior commanders surrounded the Vermilion Emperor angrily. On the other side, Gushijin and Bailing were sealed by its evil power, unable to move. The Vermilion Emperor's evil gaze swept across the junior commanders. All of you are Big Goblin, extraordinary existences among the monster race. Are you really willing to serve a human for the rest of your lives? We, the monster race, are the only kings of life in nature, and we will never compromise with a puny human. Now, this emperor has the chance to devour his consciousness and then release all of you from your shackles, allowing you to regain your freedom. This emperor will only ask you one thing. Do you want to leave this place, or do you want to be ridden by a human for the rest of your lives? Of course we want to leave. Who is willing to serve a human? Some of the Big Goblin at the back immediately agreed. However, the powerful Big Goblin at the front, such as the Fire-Tongue Goblin, did not express anything. They were hesitating. The Vermilion Emperor looked at these powerful junior commanders. What, Master? Just because I gave you some benefits, you are all eager to serve a human. Don't forget that you are Big Goblin. If you're willing to leave, follow me. If you're not willing to leave, then stay here and wait for death. Anyway, this emperor has already used everyone's power to control Su Fang's consciousness. Whoever stays here can only follow Su Fang to hell in the end. Leave. Of course we have to leave. Who is willing to stay here and wait for death? When a human enters a berserk state, he will eventually exhaust every drop of energy and die. Once he dies, the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda will also become an ownerless item. By then, other humans will obtain it, and we can only continue to be slaves. Vermilion Emperor, you are an ancient divine beast. We will leave with you. If they are waiting for death, then let them wait. Most of the Big Goblin actually agreed. The Vermilion Emperor suddenly glanced at Gushijin and Bailing. He waved his arm disdainfully and ordered the junior commanders to release more demonic aura for him to use. In the depths of the divine aperture's consciousness, Su Fangda's consciousness was left with less than 1%. It was being continuously devoured by the Vermilion Emperor's evil aura on a large scale. In the current situation, Su Fang was the source of everything. If something happened to him, everything in his body, including the magic treasures, would go on strike and lose the support of the source. Everything would be out of control. This brat does not have the heavenly neck spirit ring on him. Soon, the black-clothed man returned to Su Fang. After thinking for a while, he was attracted by the pair of bloody horns. Forget about the berserk state. There is also the blood transformation. This brat must have cultivated a lot of evil techniques to end up like this. If his consciousness cannot be restored, then he will slowly be devoured by the berserk state and die. You and I are fated. Moreover, I came here to find the heavenly neck spirit ring. The magic treasure's aura was released from your body, so it must be inside your body. I'm very curious. If you're not controlled by the heavenly neck spirit ring, then who is the unlucky one? The black-clothed man activated the supreme Xianguang. With a shocking amount of magic power, it immediately shot into Su Fang's glabella. The consciousness of the black-clothed man's giant young infant directly entered Su Fang's divine aperture. Waiting for him were the original spirits of the divine jade annulus and the Rakshasa jade vase. The divine jade Annulus said to the black-clothed man in a dignified voice, "You are just a mortal cultivator who has not stepped into the great world. No matter how strong you are in the mortal world, you will not be able to break through me. I think you have misunderstood me. If I want to harm this brat, I will take out my magic treasure. In less than 10 moves, even with the protection of a Tao artifact, his body will be crushed into meat paste." The black-clothed man explained, "I am here to see if I can wake him up from his berserk state. If this continues, he will only be waiting for death. Then try it. Don't play any tricks. This original spirit of yours is quite loyal. You should know that once this brat dies, it will no longer have any relationship with you. You will be able to regain your freedom. Our magic treasures are created by humans to assist humans in their cultivation. Perhaps we will meet many masters, and perhaps we can only serve one master for the rest of our lives. However, to be able to meet a worthy master is not something every magic treasure can meet. I understand. With your Tao artifact protecting him, I will indeed not be able to harm his divine aperture in young infant." Seeing how powerful the divine jade Annulus was, the black-clothed man also released his magic power. He shot a strand of magic power at Su Feng's young infant that was burning and enveloped by the evil aura. The divine power contained in the magic power forcefully enveloped Su Feng's young infant and stripped away the burning evil aura. The black-clothed man thought that it would be very easy. However, when he saw the armor on the young infant, he could not help but exclaim, "This brat has cultivated the Devil Tao's supreme cultivation technique, the Heavenly Devil Scripture." He used the Heavenly Devil Disintegration Seal to activate the young infant. No wonder he fell into berserk. Furthermore, there is a strong evil aura in his aura. Chi-Chi, after some time, the black-clothed man's magic power seemed to have an effect. However, who would have thought that a boundless evil aura would suddenly erupt from within the young infant? This evil aura took the form of an enormous, evil pig. Within the pig's pupils were the images of countless junior commanders. The black-clothed man's aura surged. So this brat fell into berserk, not only because he cultivated an energy art from the Tao of Devils, but also because of you demons. You were suppressed by this brat, but you helped him enter berserk state in order to devour his consciousness and regain your freedom. The Vermilion Emperor roared viciously, "Human, let's all mind our own business. I just want my freedom. What do you want? His magical treasures? His fleshly body? They have nothing to do with me. If you don't know what's good for you, then you might have a strong cultivation base, but I can control most of his consciousness." The Rakshasa Jade Vase roared, "You junior commanders and senior commanders dare to betray your master?" The Vermilion Emperor ignored it. "You're just a trifling magical treasure's origin soul. You don't have the qualifications to speak here. If you don't believe me, you can give it a try." "Oof. A mere big goblin dares to be so impudent? Fine. Let's see how strong you bastards are." The black-clothed man continued to unleash his magic power. Then, a portion of his powerful consciousness entered the depths of Su Feng's young infant. All of the Su Feng's consciousnesses were being controlled by the evil aura. As he neared the center, he saw that only a few consciousnesses had yet to be devoured by the evil aura. However, there were still a large number of big goblins' evil consciousnesses floating around. As the Vermilion Emperor turned around, they spat out an evil tempest at the black-clothed man. "Extinguish." The black-clothed man's consciousnesses roiled with pressure. Boom! When the pressure and the evil tempest collided, the black-clothed man's consciousnesses were forced back. When the Vermilion Emperor saw this, he laughed savagely. "Haha, you're just a human. If you released all of your consciousnesses here, then you wouldn't be suppressed by me. Oomph. Don't be so smug, you bastards. Just wait until I find a way to deal with you." The black-clothed man helplessly left. "Your Majesty is amazing. Everyone, continue to work hard. Just a little bit more, and we'll be able to control Su Feng's consciousnesses. Then, we'll be able to undo the shackles, and everyone will be able to regain their freedom." The Vermilion Emperor became the king of the junior commanders. Even the flame-tongued monster, heavenly domain snow lion, sky snow flying raccoon, Leech King, sky-covering monster, and other big goblin were on his side. They wanted to devour Su Fang's final consciousnesses. Hiss! Soon, several more consciousnesses were devoured. At this moment, only a consciousnesses were left. The consciousnesses were Su Fang's final consciousnesses. Once they were devoured, then Su Fang's consciousnesses would also be destroyed. It was the same as having their consciousnesses shattered by an expert and died. The Vermilion Emperor controlled the junior commander's evil power and pounced on Su Fang's consciousnesses. I've had enough of you. You think I'm smiling at you from the bottom of my heart? I'm just trying to make you let your guard down. Oh, the terrifying evil power pounced on Su Fang's consciousnesses. They began to be devoured by the evil power. Buzz, at the moment of life and death, a faintly discernible cold chi transformed into a cold silhouette. It seemed to be a woman. The woman directly ignored the demonic chi and entered Su Fang's mind. Where did this human come from? You dare to ruin my plans? I'll kill you. The Vermilion Emperor was shocked. At this critical moment, there was still a human who dared to kill his way in. How reckless! Chapter 577. Facing the Vermilion Emperor who wanted to eat her, the woman's projection remained motionless. Whoosh! The Vermilion Emperor opened his mouth, and the power of all the junior commanders roared along with him. An evil storm formed, and the storm turned into a huge evil pig. The evil pig bit at the mysterious woman. Bang! With a powerful bite, the mysterious woman would definitely be eaten by the Pig Horse King. However, the mysterious woman only shook slightly and was not affected at all. On the contrary, the Pig Horse King was instantly shattered. How can your mortal world have such a strong and indestructible young infant? No, this is not the young infant that mortals have. Are you an immortal? This is a young immortal. The Pig Horse King was dumbfounded. Even with him and the junior commander's terrifying attacks, they could not hurt the mysterious woman at all. He immediately understood that even if he released an even stronger young infant attack, he would not be able to hurt her. However, the mysterious woman did not say anything. Kill! 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 This emperor does not believe that you can protect this brat forever. The Vermilion Emperor ordered. In the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda space, the 93 junior commanders burned their evil, demonic aura again and injected it into the Vermilion Emperor's body. Little brother, Bai Ling, was sealed in the demonic aura. He could only watch the Vermilion Emperor attack again with Gu Shizhen. Facing so many junior commanders and the Vermilion Emperor, Gu Shizhen and Bai Ling were powerless. At this moment, in Su Fang's divine aperture, the black-clothed man, the divine image Jade Annulus, and the Rakshasa Jade Vase's origin spirit floated together. A bloody light flew out from the depths of Su Fang's brain. Good fellow, this brat was able to cultivate the demonic book to such a level. His young infant is incomparably strong. It turns out that he is fused with the supreme treasure of the demonic path, the true demonic blood plate. The true demonic blood plate floated within the bloody light. The black-clothed man used Su Fang's aura as a defense and entered the true demonic blood plate. Where did the underworld aura come from? When he entered the deathly still, true demonic blood plate, he was immediately frozen by the underworld aura, making it difficult for him to move. The black-clothed man also knew how powerful the underworld aura was. He was too afraid to move forward, but he released his will to look deeper. In the depths, he saw Gue, who was protecting one of Su Fang's wills. Good boy, so you've already made preparations. In order to prevent any accidents from happening to your young infant, you sealed a strand of your will in the true devil blood plate. This way, even if most of your young infant is shattered or your consciousness is devoured, you still have this strand of your will to reform your Yuan spirit. For the black-clothed man, this brought about a series of surprises. He immediately flashed out of the true devil blood plate and returned to his divine aperture. He looked at Su Fang's main young nascent soul that was shrouded by the evil aura. I have an idea now. I will use the true devil blood plate's divine might to shatter the corroded young nascent soul. Any big goblin's evil will be shattered by the true devil blood plate. The black-robed man prepared to control the true devil blood plate. Buzz! Just as he activated his magic power, Su Fang's young nascent soul, which had been enveloped and devoured by evil, suddenly erupted with an illusory, cold air. When this cold air swept out, even the black-clothed man immediately dodged. This was because the cold air had frozen the evil flames burning around Su Fang's young nascent soul, completely suppressing it. How is this possible? Could it be that this boy has some kind of special method or Yuan spirit-type magic treasure in the depths of his young nascent soul? Not good. I'll take a look first and release as much of my Yuan spirit's aura as possible. If something unexpected happens, I don't need to injure my Yuan spirit. The black-clothed man quickly retreated and looked at Su Fang's young nascent soul that had been sealed by the cold air. Without knowing the situation, he wouldn't act rashly. Hua at the same time, a large amount of yang energy poured into the divine aperture and was being devoured by the frozen yang nascent soul. After fusing with the yang energy, it turned into an illusory energy that immediately caused the frozen evil aura to disappear. In just a short while, Su Fang's young nascent soul could no longer see the clear, evil aura. Moreover, the young nascent soul's eyes slowly opened. Although they were empty, there was no more evil aura. Mysterious, mysterious. His cultivation isn't outstanding, but he has the ability to surpass the cultivators of the mortal realm. The black-clothed man knew that Su Fang had already broken free from his berserk state, and in the depths of Su Fang's consciousness, the only consciousness that hadn't been devoured by the evil demonic aura suddenly released the yin and yang energy that was the fusion of cold air and yang energy. The surrounding evil aura was immediately suppressed by the yin and yang energy. The Vermilion Emperor's eyes almost exploded. No, impossible. Who are you? Why are you protecting him? However, the mysterious woman that controlled the cold air disappeared. She didn't say a single word from the moment she appeared to the moment she left. She probably looked down on the arrogant pig demon. I didn't expect that the disaster that caused me to fall into a berserk state was actually you, a pig demon, and you small commanders. In the depths of his consciousness, a large amount of the evil aura disappeared. The consciousness in the center suddenly turned into a lifelike Su Fang. His eyes exploded and released even more yin and yang energy that spread to the surroundings. Any evil demonic aura was devoured by the yin and yang energy. Su Fang looked at the floating Vermilion Emperor and the evil aura of the 93 small commanders. Li Haoji was right. Demons are demons and humans are humans. How can humans and demons trust each other? Su Fang, this emperor is an absolute big goblin, an undying god race. How can I be a servant to a human like you? This emperor will kill you now. Seeing that Su Fang had regained his consciousness, taking advantage of the time when Su Fang's consciousness was still recovering, the frightened Vermilion Emperor once again absorbed the energy of the small commanders. He spat out an evil big pig and pounced towards Su Fang. Don't forget that you have already been suppressed by me. It was unknown how cold Su Fang's consciousness was. When the Vermilion Emperor's mouth was about to bite, a vast godly aura directly struck the big pig. Furthermore, within the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, the Vermilion Emperor's main body immediately burst into a illusory fire cloud from his head. He immediately fell to the ground and screamed. Not only did the illusory fire cloud bring him pain, it also burned his demonic skin bit by bit. Pung, the evil will of the Vermilion Emperor in front of Su Fang's consciousness crumbled instantly as the junior commander's panicked expression crumbled. At this moment, most of the evil aura disappeared. Su Fang swallowed a large amount of consciousness in the surroundings. A speck of light dares to compete with the sun and moon. Wang, within the divine aperture. As the black-clothed man, divine image Jade Annulus, and Rakshasa Jade Chengping waited curiously, Su Fang's young infant suddenly shook. Its empty eyes suddenly shone with a divine light. "Senior, who are you?" Su Fang immediately locked onto the black-clothed man's consciousness. "Senior, thank you for saving me." Although this junior entered a berserk state and was invaded by the big goblin's consciousness, I still remember some things. If not for Senior, this junior might have died at the hands of heartless grandma and the elders of the Celestial Sealing sect. It is fate that I saved you. Let's talk outside. The black-clothed man's consciousness suddenly disappeared. Don't worry. I'm fine. Su Fang praised the divine image, Jade Annulus and Rakshasa Jade Chungping. His young infant immediately fused with his physical body. On the snowy ground, Su Fang slowly opened his eyes and saw the black-clothed man standing in front of him with his hands behind his back. Only now did he see the rough outline of the man. He was a man in his 40s. He was dressed in black and had black hair, coupled with the aura of nothingness. He was not someone from the mortal realm. The feeling he gave Su Fang was similar to the Lord of Five Poisons. However, he was certain that this black-clothed man's strength should be a bit stronger than the Lord of Five Poisons. Look at what this is. This is why I came. The black-clothed man slightly raised his right hand, and a white circle appeared in his hand. Heavenly Neck Spirit's Circle. Su Fang stared at the circle in shock. How could he not recognize the circle? It was the Heavenly Neck Spirit's Circle that was shackled around by Ling's neck. He immediately bowed to the black-clothed man. "Senior, could you be the 9th successor disciple of the Chaos King, Li Xingqiu?" "Senior Li?" The black-clothed man smiled. "The Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle is not on you, but you know it very well. I'm not Li Xingqiu. That person has been dead for hundreds of thousands of years. I'm just one of the slaves that he shackled with the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle. My name is Mu Chun. I was once a powerhouse from a star domain that was far away from your Zhuotian realm." Mu Chun. He was not Li Xingqiu. He was just a slave that was similarly shackled by the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle. However, Su Fang was shocked when he heard this. "Senior Mu is so powerful. Even Great Elder Xiao Yun and Heartless Granny had to retreat when they saw you. How could you be suppressed by the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle?" "I'll have to explain it slowly." Mu Chun was still smiling, as if the countless years of shackling and waiting had cleared his mind. "Back then, my strength was about the same as Heartless Granny, who killed you. However, I met Li Xingqiu. He was too powerful. After I was seriously injured by him, he forced the Heavenly Neck Spirit's Circle into my neck. From then on, I became his slave. Take a look." After he finished speaking, his right hand slightly released a xianguang. Immediately, the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle that Su Fang was very familiar with appeared on Mu Chen's neck. He would never have thought that this powerhouse would be shackled by the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle, just like by Ling. At this moment, Su Fang felt sympathy for him. "You have to understand that although Li Xingqiu shackled me, I'm not him. I'm just a cultivator that wants to break free from the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle and ascend to the great world. Therefore, I don't care about Li Xingqiu. I don't care if he's a tool or not." Mu Chen sighed. "I understand, Sister Bai." After Su Fang nodded, he sucked Bai Ling out of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. This is the last Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle that was refined by Li Xingqiu. Back then, Li Xingqiu had passed through a great tribulation and had the body of a celestial. Therefore, the material of the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle that he refined came from the material of the celestial world that he obtained from the great world. It's incomparably sturdy. "Greetings, Senior." When Bai Ling saw the other Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle, he suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. Su Fang also bowed. "Senior must have come here for the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle. I'll have to trouble Senior to remove the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle on Sister Bai's neck." Mu Chan said, "I did come here for the little crane's Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle. Removing its Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle is the same as removing the circle on my neck. However, in order to remove the circle, I have to go to the heavenly dipper world and gather all the circles in the secret training ground left behind by Li Xingqiu. Furthermore, this little crane has to make a blood oath to become the 10th successor disciple of the King of Chaos. Only then will the incantations on the heavenly next spirit circle disappear. Blood oath, so we have to go to the heavenly dipper world? Su Fong was silent. Yes, we have to go to Li Xingqiu's corpse and make a blood oath in front of the inheritance of the King of Chaos. Only then can we remove the incantations on the heavenly next spirit circle. Sister Bai, I can't leave the heavenly dipper world for the time being. Senior, can you wait for a period of time? We'll go to the heavenly dipper world after 100 years. That won't do. I've been shackled for so many years. I can't wait to go to the great world. I've had enough of the small world. Since you're injured, go to the heavenly dipper world. You can recover quickly there. Little brother, I'll go to the heavenly dipper world with Senior. You can come and find me in the future. Bai Ling said reluctantly. Su Fong was silent for a moment before he finally nodded. Senior, you must ensure Sister Bai's safety. At the same time, I'll regain my freedom. Why not? I can also complete the mission that Li Xingqiu gave me. Don't worry, I still have to help this little crane become an expert. Let's go. With a flash, Bai Ling disappeared into the sky under Mu Chen's control. Chapter 578. Su Fong wanted to see Bai Ling off, but it was a luxury. Mu Chen's cultivation was higher than Heartless Granny's, so naturally, his teleportation speed would reach an unimaginable level. This senior Mu Chen is very magnanimous. Maybe it's just as he said. At his level, his heart is no longer in the small world. This is the forbidden snow forest. The heavens really know how to play tricks on me. Back then, I met Mayer here, which led to today's situation. Now, I'm back in the forbidden snow forest. Forget it. The Celestial Ceiling Sect and Zuin Pavilion will definitely search for me everywhere. Rather than leaving the Zhuotian world, I might as well hide in the forbidden snow forest. Furthermore, I can return to the Great Ape Demon Tomb and use the extreme Yin Ice Vein to cultivate my young infant, recover from my injuries, and increase my strength. Looking at the snowy plains, the aura quickly became familiar. After thinking for a while, he activated the instant space ring without hesitation and immediately disappeared from the edge of the forbidden snow forest. Storm. All kinds of natural dangers could not threaten Su Fong at this moment. After 10 breaths, he returned to the depths of the forbidden snow forest and activated his origin. Together with the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda superpower, he passed through layers of ice. Soon, he found the broken ice layer and encountered many ice lice. Fortunately, these ice lice were all in deep slumber. Extreme Yin Ice Vein. I never thought that I, Su Fong, would see you again. He activated the 9 Yin Shi and merged it with his origin superpower to move the broken ice layer away. At this moment, there was an astonishing extreme Yin Ice Vein under his feet. Hiding in the forbidden snow forest, the two major forces will not be able to find me. Wait until I recover from my injuries. I will definitely find them and get back at them. Especially that evil woman. She chased me all the way. After setting up the barrier, there was only a 30 feet wide ice layer space left. Sitting down, his breathing and heartbeat gradually calmed down. Seeing the ice layer and extreme Yin Ice Vein, it felt like a lifetime ago. It was as if he was still fighting with the Night Spirit clan's experts in the snowy plains, suppressing the Heavenly Snow Raccoon and the Heavenly Snow Lion under the 9 segments Earth Dragon. Why did he suddenly have such a feeling? It was as though he had never left this place. After that, he went to the Wu-Tan realm to seize the divine image Jade Annulus, killed Elder Qingyang, and went to the mortal Emperor world to fuse with the Realm Lord's inheritance. Shaking his head with a sigh, he was sure that he was back. He took out a large number of spirit stones and placed them around him. Then he activated the 9 Yang 9 transformations and began to absorb the energy of the extreme Yin Ice Vein and the spirit stones. Adding in the natural energy, energy began to flow into his body. He didn't enter the berserk state, and the blood transformation disappeared. His body was heavily injured, and even with the energy of the Great Circle, the Black Lotus True Body, and the Dragon Subduing Wood, it will take some time to recover. Apart from the Golden Origin Core, the Dragon Subduing Wood, and the Purple Aura Magic Spirit, all the energy in my body has been depleted. The same goes for the 6 Yang Meridians. If I want to recover, I will need at least several years of cultivation. Fortunately, I have the extreme Ice Meridians and a large amount of energy, so this is not a problem. After checking the situation, it was very serious. Moreover, the overdraft of his vitality was also very serious. I originally risked my life to obtain the human emperor's inheritance right under the nose of the Xinyuan Empire. I wanted to first return to the Zhuotian realm and secretly cultivate, preparing to destroy Prince Shui's heavenly gourd spirit tree. Then my strength will increase, and I will secretly return to the human emperor world and completely merge with the small world. Now all my previous plans have been ruined. I can't stay in the immortal sealing gate and take back the purple aura magic spirit from Shang Changsheng. Now, there is only one way. In the future, I will use my strength to suppress Shang Changsheng and forcefully take back the purple aura magic spirit. My Su Fang's life will usher in a brand new beginning. Just like when I destroyed the state of Zhao and stepped into the crimson firmament continent from the southern border. There are too many things to think about. I need some time to settle them down. I should recover some strength first. He cut open many wounds on his body, implanted the immortal fruit, and absorbed a few drops of the Icebound King's blood. There is only a small amount of the Icebound King's blood left. It probably wouldn't be long before this immortal's corpse completely disappeared. Under the impact of the energy, his body quickly recovered. Master, a thought came from the rune talisman in his body. Su Fang's situation was much better. He was currently communicating with the exalted Master Yuezhen. How is the situation in the immortal sealing gate? We did not catch Master, and we are at odds with the Zuin Pavilion. Now, we are looking for Master everywhere. Zuin Pavilion is the same. This subordinate has been demoted to an elder. As long as you are in the immortal sealing gate, you will be able to help me take back the purple aura magic spirit in the future. Bear with it for a while. Wait for me to make a plan. I will not let you suffer in the future. This subordinate believes that Master will definitely make a comeback. After a few simple exchanges, Su Fang sealed the rune talisman. In fact, he was now more careful than before. He was more cautious. He had no choice. He did not know if the exalted Master Yuezhen would betray him, just like the Vermilion Emperor and the 93 commanders. If the exalted Master Yuezhen betrayed him, he would use the rune talisman. With the help of the immortal sealing gates experts, he would follow the rune talisman's aura to find the forbidden snowy forest. South, his thought landed on the first floor of Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. Master. The 93 commanders were frightened when they saw Su Fang appear. They began to tremble. Su Fang only looked at Gu Shizhen. With a flick of his finger, the seal wrapped around his body immediately disappeared. On the other side, there was only one great commander. The Vermilion Emperor sneered unwillingly. Damn it! This emperor did not take this opportunity to break free from your control. I've already told all of you that I cannot tolerate sand in my eyes. Su Fang's sharp gaze landed on the Vermilion Emperor. Do you think I can't do anything to you just because you're an ancient divine beast? You'll become my mount from now on. As for the position of Grand Commander, there's no place for you. You can only be my mount for all eternity. If I'm unhappy one day, it won't be too late to kill you. This emperor is not afraid of you. The Vermilion Emperor raised his body. Huh? Not afraid? Was he really not afraid? At least, Su Fang was very doubtful. He activated the Origin Sacred Realm and moved his thought. A beam of mirror light flashed and hung high above the first layer of space, revealing a red light. The Vermilion Emperor struggled, wanting to escape. The Origin Sacred Realm's power immediately enveloped him. The 9 Yang True Fire, which did not have any burning aura, followed the red light and engulfed the Vermilion Emperor. The Vermilion Emperor was burned from his human form and immediately broke free from his true body. No matter how terrifying an ancient divine beast was, it was just meat skewers in front of the 9-yang true fire. The Vermilion Emperor became a pig. To tell the truth, Su Fong did not know the power of the 9-yang true fire. This level of flame was not something he could control. In just a short while, the Vermilion Emperor's abdomen kept exploding. A pile of disgusting filth was discharged from his lower body. It was incomparably disgusting. The true fire burned it to ashes. What was the Vermilion Emperor feeling? After a round, his lower abdomen began to rumble again. An aura enveloped his head. It caused his lower body to swell by 3 times. The Vermilion Emperor was in so much pain that he shed tears of blood. He fiercely roared at Su Fong. This emperor curses you to never attain the Tao. You will never be able to attain immortality. You bastard, if you say I can't attain immortality, then I'll have a short life. I won't kill you. It's too easy to kill you. I'll let you be tortured again and again. Let's see how long you can last. Su Fong looked at the other commanders. You bastards dare to betray me? Do you think you can contend against me? You don't know the difference between life and death. In the future, you will obediently be a good bastard. If you want to obtain resources from me again, you can dream. In the future, you will slowly die of exhaustion. Once you die, I will suppress even more commanders. And, after saying that, a boundary suddenly appeared in the profound yellow space. This boundary shackled the Vermilion Emperor and the 93 commanders. Within the boundary, there was no more energy. The profound yellow space's ability was also isolated outside the boundary. From now on, any big goblin that was shackled here would not be able to absorb the energy from the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda like before. Without energy, Su Fong would use the 6 Paths Pagoda to forcefully absorb their energy. Every time he absorbed their energy, there would be less of it, until all their energy was drained and they died. Master, this subordinate was wrong. The fire-tongued monster, Sky Snow Flying Raccoon, Heaven Domain Snow Lion, and the other commanders were filled with regret. Especially when they saw the Vermilion Emperor's miserable state, they all despaired. Gu Shizhen, you are the only one left in this space. This boundary will be under your control. Su Fong called Gu Shizhen to him. Gu Shizhen was glad that he did not betray the Vermilion Emperor. Otherwise, he would have ended up like this. You will control this boundary. These bastards have a lot of treasures. When I was suppressing them, I did not forcibly take away their treasures. If you need resources for your cultivation or see any treasures, just take them. Su Fong ordered and prepared to leave. Boom! Suddenly, an evil force seemed to burst out from the Vermilion Emperor's body that was shackled by the red light. It wanted to sneak attack Su Fong. The Vermilion Emperor spat out a blade light like a whip. This emperor wants you dead. Master, Gu Shizhen's expression immediately changed. Don't worry. Su Fong did not react. Crack! The Vermilion Emperor used his Tao artifact, the Wrath of the Demon God. He thought that this Tao artifact could break the shackles and then use the power of the Tao artifact to kill Su Fong. But he was wrong. Just as the Wrath of the Demon God burst out from his mouth, it was forced into the Vermilion Emperor's body by the invisible power of the red light. The Wrath of the Demon God was afraid of a primordial chaos sage. Bastard, your Wrath of the Demon God is as weak as an egg in front of my ancient mirror. Be careful not to release it, and it will be crushed by the ancient mirror. Seeing this, Su Fong left with a sneer. Pig Horse King, you made us sit here and wait for death. We can't wait to skin you alive. All the junior commanders surrounded the Vermilion Emperor. They wanted to kill him, but they did not dare to approach the red light. However, the Vermilion Emperor felt even more despair. He was once again burned by the 9-yang true fire. From top to bottom, a lot of filth was expelled, but it was actually his essence. Every time the filth was expelled, it was actually purifying and forcibly stripping away his energy. Every time it was expelled, a portion of his energy would be forcibly incinerated. He estimated that he would not be able to wait for long before he would be tortured to death. His consciousness returned. He opened up many holes in his body and planted immortal fruit slices. The true devil blood plate was also in his divine aperture, occupying above the young nascent soul. The young nascent soul was absorbing the special energy from the extreme ice vein, coupled with the heavenly devil disintegration seal. The young nascent soul was constantly transforming and was quickly recovering. A portion of the extreme ice vein below Su Fong had even started to melt. Since the energy was being absorbed by Su Fong, the extreme ice vein would naturally melt. However, it did not melt even a little bit, which was not worth mentioning for the huge extreme ice vein. The Black Lotus true body in his body was also continuously producing blood threads due to the extreme ice vein's energy. The blood threads were becoming stronger and more solid. This time, it is all thanks to you. Protecting Master is Yu's responsibility. The stronger Master's cultivation is, the more powerful you will be in the future. Su Fong once again fused with the divine image Jade Annulus. This time, the divine image Jade Annulus had contributed greatly. Of course, the Xianhuang Six-Path Pagoda also played an important role. When Heartless Grandma's attack penetrated the divine image Jade Annulus defense, a portion of the energy was neutralized by the Xianhuang Six-Paths Pagoda. Otherwise, his body would have turned into meat paste. Chapter 579. The extreme ice vein melted little by little. It was nothing to the enormous extreme ice vein. However, Su Fong absorbed this insignificant energy, and his young infant recovered at an astonishing rate. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. All of a sudden, a beam of tribulation energy shot out from his body. Am I about to break through to the second layer of the catastrophe stage? Feeling the tribulation energy about to burst out, he immediately checked his body. It turned out that, after a few years of cultivation, his physical injuries had mostly recovered. His 6 young meridians and energy had also recovered. Every breakthrough to the catastrophe stage required an astonishing amount of energy. Activating his origin ability and fusing with the Xianhuang Six-Paths Pagoda, he used the 9 Qi and began to leave the extreme ice vein, passing through the endless ice layer. When he arrived at the forest floor, he looked at the terrifying storm above. This place was the best place to undergo tribulation. The natural barrier's complex power would perfectly disperse his tribulation energy and aura. He summoned Gu Shijin and had him hide in the dark to protect him. He built an altar, took out various resources, and began to break through his physical body. He also consumed a life-seizing recreating pill with a pill spirit. After stepping into the catastrophe stage, ordinary pills were no longer of much use to Su Fong. The best pill was the life-seizing recreating pill. If the bone-strengthening pill could reach the catastrophe stage, it could also help his cultivation. After swallowing this rare life-seizing recreating pill, his physical body's tribulation energy, and vitality were all exploding. A heavenly tribulation appeared in the terrifying snowstorm above. It was obvious that the heavenly tribulation had 2 layers. This meant that Su Fong was breaking through to the second layer of the catastrophe stage. Many heavenly lightning and earthly fire were forming in the 2 layers of the heavenly tribulation. It was heavenly lightning and earthly fire again. Su Fong frowned. How can there be heavenly lightning and earthly fire after reaching the second layer of the catastrophe stage? The divine image, Jade Annulus, said, is not very sure about this. It should be different for each person undergoing tribulation. Each tribulation is different. Heavenly lightning and earthly fire are terrifying, but how can they be shattered? The heavenly tribulation was still brewing. Su Fong had already used his true qi to form a giant. The 2 giant palms extended slowly. At this moment, some golden aura appeared around Su Fong's body. transforming into an obvious armor made of flesh. Su Fong had fused more of the invincible golden body into the flesh fetus armor and the Herculean palm into the heaven worship palm technique. These two divine abilities came from the colossal Vajra body, which was a godly class energy art. Since he wasn't a disciple of the celestial sealing sect, there was no need for him to hide himself. The celestial sealing sect's 7 great divine abilities couldn't even compare to the illusory fire cloud. Even the heaven-worshipping palm art was superior to the 7 great divine abilities of the celestial sealing sect. The immortal sealing scripture was the most miraculous thing in the immortal sealing sect. It was not a divine ability, but the cultivation experience of countless experts in the immortal sealing sect. Chia, great calamity, immediately descended. Heavenly lightning fell like a waterfall. The reverence heaven giant suddenly swung its arms, infusing the Herculean godly palm with the reverence heaven palm. Boom, zizi, he pushed his palms forward and struck the tribulation heavenly lightning. Instantly, the heavenly lightning was shattered into pieces. Heavenly lightning and earthly fire are strong, Yang Qi said, but they're only as strong as the 5th level of catastrophe. My true strength has long since reached the peak of catastrophe. This tribulation doesn't have earthly fire. That means the second tribulation will be the strongest. If any other cultivator in the world could see this, they would be filled with envy and jealousy. Everyone feared tribulation, especially heavenly lightning and earthly fire. But in front of Yang Qi, they weren't even worth mentioning. Qi. In the blink of an eye, the second tribulation descended. This was true heavenly lightning and earthly fire. The heavenly lightning burned, and the earthly fire burned. Once they merged, they would become heavenly lightning, and earthly fire would burn people to ash. According to Su Fong's estimation, this tribulation was about as strong as the 6th level of catastrophe. It was truly shocking and surpassed the limits of any cultivator in the mortal world. Most cultivators in minor worlds were people who could transcend levels. Those who could go from the 2nd to the 4th level of catastrophe were geniuses. Those who could reach the 5th level of catastrophe could be counted on one's fingers. And the tribulation Su Fong was facing had reached the 6th level of catastrophe. It was equivalent to a cultivator at the 2nd level of catastrophe in a minor world being killed. This tribulation had surpassed the limits of a cultivator at the 2nd level of catastrophe. However, the tribulation was underestimating Su Fong too much. Was he an ordinary person who transcended levels? No, his ability to transcend levels was unprecedented and would never be surpassed in the future. The heavenly lightning and earthly fire fell. The reverence heaven giant still had 2 fierce giant palms. They defied the heavens and struck the heavenly lightning and earthly fire. The 2 forces in the air tore apart the terrifying snowstorm. Not long after, the heavenly lightning and earthly fire began to weaken and then disappeared. Su Fong's physical body welcomed the destruction. A mysterious aura descended from the tribulation, allowing Su Fong to recover a little. The 2nd level of catastrophe is still not enough. Compared to Heartless Granny, it's nothing. It's just that breaking through to the catastrophe realm isn't easy. It's impossible to be like before. But at least my current strength has completely entered the Ascension realm. I can fight against giants like Jin Zhangkong and Elderling Shuo face to face. After a period of time, the tribulation disappeared. Su Fong began to devour all kinds of energy, striving to become stronger. Crimson Firmament Continent, Immortal Sealing Sect, Court, Dao Field. Dozens of fragrant Jade faction members gathered outside Huang Lingyao's Dao Field. Following the opening of a door, the women knew that Huang Lingyao had returned from training and happily entered the Dao Field. I didn't expect Su Fong to end up like this. Behind the Dao Field, several women sat around Huang Lingyao. Lan Haicheng was among them. The other women were telling Huang Lingyao everything that had happened between the Celestial Sealing Gate, Zuan Pavilion, and Su Fong. Huang Lingyao looked at them and sneered. This guy is quite cunning. I tried to sound him out several times in the past, hoping to find out the secret of the Xinjia Gate. But this guy's mouth is tight. I didn't expect him to deceive the entire sect and instead let the Zuan Pavilion benefit. He brought this upon himself. If he had sincerely worked for me back then and revealed the secret of the Xinjia Gate, he wouldn't have ended up like this. Another disciple said, Fong Yu didn't die. It seems he was rescued by someone. But I heard he has already fallen into the Devil Dao. Even if he lives, he'll only be a Devil Dao cultivator in the future. Whether he lives or dies is meaningless to me. Back then, I only secretly helped him because he could help me deal with Prince Shui, Sheng Changsheng, and the Xinjia Gate. But now he's even tricked me. He deserves this fate. Huang Lingyao shook his head. As for Lan Haicheng, he remained silent, quietly listening to their conversation. Another core, Dao Field. Good. The Crown Prince faction members were gathered at Prince Shui's Dao Field. Prince Shui had already returned from the Human Emperor world and the Primordial God world to the Zhuotian world. Shuelong, the Crown Prince, and a few other trusted aides were currently reporting to Prince Shui about how Su Fong had been chased down by the two great sections. Although I've heard about it before, now that I'm back, I find it very interesting. Fong Yu is arrogant, but he's a scheming person. He thought that just because he became a disciple of the Sovereign Dao, he could rise above others and fight against me. Now that he's ended up like this, he's suffering the consequences of his own actions. Immediately pass down orders. Double the rewards for every member of the Crown Prince faction. Tonight, gather the higher-ups. I'm going to hold a banquet to congratulate everyone. Fong Yu is finished. We've finally gotten rid of that thorn in our side. Furthermore, Crown Prince, you've reached the Ascendant Transformation Realm. You're now a top figure. That's worth celebrating. Reaching the Ascendant Transformation Realm is just the first step. Next, I'll go to the Heaven Gourd world and try to steal the Heaven Gourd Spirit Tree. With it, I'll be able to obtain the Zhuotian world's essence. At that time, I'll be able to become the ruler of the Zhuotian world. In the future, the Crown Prince faction won't just be a subordinate of the Immortal Sealing sect. It'll also be a top power in this starry river. Tonight, I'm going to celebrate. It's been a long time since I've received such a pleasant surprise. Prince Shui smiled proudly. The experts below him were also very pleased. I've finally gotten my revenge. My biggest regret is that I didn't personally kill Fong Yu. Indeed, the Crown Prince sighed. He and Shuelong had been looking forward to tearing apart Su Fong's skin and tearing apart his tendons. Within the Elders' Hall, in the depths of the hall, was a sealed space. Even the elders had to be summoned before they could enter. Xiao Yin and Daoist Wuzhen were seated at the front. Yuan Tianzong, Jin Changkong, Elder Ling Shuo, Exalted Master Yuezhen, and the other elders were all gathered at the center. There were over 30 of them. Daoist Wuzhen swept his gaze over them. The leader is furious that Fong Yu betrayed the sect. Although he has fallen to the Devil Dao and will definitely die in the future, the sect must find him and bring him back so that he can be publicly punished. Other than that, there's also the Zuan Pavilion and the Xinjia Gate. They killed quite a few of our disciples in order to capture Fong Yu. We've also killed a large number of their disciples. Since we're mortal enemies, there's no need for us to be polite. We'll fight over the Xinjia Gate with them. Soon, we'll have Elder Yu lead a group of our sect's experts to secretly infiltrate the Xinjia Gate. We'll fight over the secrets of the Zuan Pavilion's Dao item. Xiao Yin continued. While we're fighting over the Xinjia Gate, the leader must also start planning a thorough attack on the Zuan Pavilion. We'll destroy the Zuan Pavilion and seize their foundation. Otherwise, the Zuan Pavilion will attack us soon. Everyone, go back and raise your elite disciples. Yes. The elders' gathering ended. Snow Wind Continent, forbidden snowy forest. Deep in the snowy plains, a dangerous snowstorm was raging. Li Haojia was standing on his flying sword. Brother Su, Brother Li, Su Fong immediately appeared. It's good that you're fine. I didn't expect that not long after you returned to the Immortal Sealing Sect, there would be news of you betraying the Immortal Sealing Sect and being hunted down in the Zuin Pavilion. It's good that you're fine. The Immortal Sealing Sect wants to obtain the Xinjia Gate from me, and so does the Zuin Pavilion. For the Xinjia Gate, I can't even be considered a chess piece. Brotherly, this time, I called you to the Forbidden Snowy Forest because I wanted to work with you to deal with those two big goblins. The strongest big goblin in the Forbidden Snowy Forest should be the 9-segment Earth Dragon and the Ice Silkworm Sovereign. The Ice Silkworm Sovereign doesn't know much about them. In the past, I suppressed a big goblin that followed the 9-segment Earth Dragon, the Heaven Domain Snow Lion. Using it, you and I can easily infiltrate the 9-segment Earth Dragon's lair. Then, you can use the origin-suppressing demon transforming Heavenly Book while I use my Dao artifact. With 2 Dao artifacts and our strength, we can't take down the 9-segment Earth Dragon. I'm very confident that both of us are Big Goblin's nemesis. However, Brother Sue suddenly wants to deal with this big goblin. What's your motive? I don't have any motive. I just want to imprison a big goblin and increase my overall strength. As for the future, it will definitely be useful. Since I'm here and understand the 9-segment Earth Dragon, I can't let go of this opportunity. Moreover, I might not have a foothold in the Zhuotian domain in the future. I have to plan early. Then it's decided. Heaven Domain, Snow Lion, bring us to the 9-segment Earth Dragon's lair. If you're the slightest bit slippery, I won't let you off easily. After the two finished their discussion, they stepped on the Heaven Domain Snow Lion's back and flew towards the depths of the snowy plains. Chapter 580. The Heavenly Snow Lion was naturally familiar with this place. After passing through many layers of ice and caves, they didn't encounter any cultivators or big goblin. Buzz. At this time, the rune talisman in his body moved. Junior apprentice brother, are you all right? Do you need my help? Activating the rune talisman was what Lan Haicheng was worried about. Lan Haicheng, we won't be on the same side in the future. Forget it. If you get too close to me, who knows what Huang Ling Yao will do to you in the future? Since we're not on the same side, why keep in contact? He completely sealed Lan Haicheng's rune talisman and didn't say a word. Huang Ling Yao. That was an existence even more terrifying than Prince Shui. Now that he had fallen out with the Immortal Sealing Sect and become enemies, if he kept in contact with Lan Haicheng and was discovered, Lan Haicheng's fate wouldn't be any better. About an hour later, the two of them arrived at an ice cave deep in the Earth's core with the Heavenly Snow Lion leading the way. There were many ice caves densely packed together. If no one led the way, Su Fong and Li Haojia wouldn't have been able to reach this place. Master, the 9-section Earth Dragon built the Earth Dragon Palace on a frozen underground river. It has more than 100 big goblins under its command. Some of them are as strong as this subordinate. The Heavenly Snow Lion continued. The 9-section Earth Dragon's strength is about the same as Heartless Granny's. Especially in this world of ice, it's stronger than Heartless Granny. So what if it's strong? Brother Li is a Yao master. I can deal with any big goblin. Why should I be afraid of it? Bring us to the Earth Dragon Palace. Yes. The Heavenly Snow Lion turned into a white-robed man after replying. After experiencing the betrayal of the Vermilion Sovereign, the Heavenly Domain Snow Lion knew how powerful Su Fong was. It still dared to be dishonest. If it didn't, it knew that Su Fong would immediately kill it. They passed through many more ice caves. Soon, the three of them arrived at a place that could instantly freeze everything. Master, there are 9-section Earth Dragon experts secretly guarding the ice cave on the right. There are indeed several powerful big goblins. Li Haojia sensed it. He continued to head deeper into the ice cave while concealing his aura. At this moment, the cold chi was becoming more and more terrifying. Li Haojia could no longer withstand it. In the end, he had to use his Dao artifact to defend himself before he could continue following Su Fong closer to the Earth Dragon Palace. Finally, an underground ice river appeared in their line of sight. It was unknown how long the underground glacial river was, but the silver-gray color extended all the way into the Earth's core. 3 kilometers away, on the widest ice river, there were more than a dozen ice palaces. The centermost ice palace was shaped like a centipede. The 9-section Earth Dragon is a centipede. Its innate abilities are poison and cold chi. The cold chi it spits out can instantly freeze any Calamity Realm cultivator. Even ordinary Ascendant Transformation Realm cultivators would be frozen if they encountered it. The Celestial Snow Lion continued. As for the 9-segment Earth Dragon's poison, even we are afraid of it. There is no antidote for it, and only the 9-segment Earth Dragon can neutralize it. That's why it became one of the 2 kings of this place. It relied on its innate poison and cold chi to dominate for tens of thousands of years. It killed countless humans and greater demons. It created a human bone pool to imprison cultivators inside. It devoured their essence chi and captured human female cultivators as maids for him to play with, dual cultivate, and extract their yin yuan while they were still alive. Then we have to suppress it. After discussing for a while, they decided that using the Heavenly Snow Lion to sneak in wouldn't be effective. Su Fong and Li Haojia both agreed to directly attack the 9-section Earth Dragon. However, they needed the Heavenly Snow Lion to bring them into the depths of the Ice Palace. At the very least, they had to go to the 9-section Earth Dragon's palace. Only then could they launch a sneak attack. The Heavenly Snow Lion was scared out of its wits. It seemed that the 9-section Earth Dragon was too powerful. Without any other choice, it could only bring the 2 of them to quietly approach the Ice Palace. They went around many layers of ice. Fortunately, it was familiar with everything here. There were more than 100 big goblin auras. Most of them were in the underground palace. The rest were either out capturing humans or cultivating in other places. There were probably only 70 to 80 big goblins in the Earth Dragon Palace. From time to time, there would be a few big goblins patrolling. However, they were just passing by. They weren't worried that someone would kill their way into the Earth Dragon Palace. Who would be a match for the 9-section Earth Dragon here? This is the 9-section Earth Dragon Palace. After a few hours, the 3 of them passed through the other ice palaces and arrived at the center of the Ice Palace. It was the 9-section Earth Dragon's Dao Field. I sensed it. It is indeed the peerless big goblin. Li Haojia and Su Fong hid outside the ice wall. After sensing it, Li Haojia reached out with his left hand and opened his palm. A page appeared in his palm. Strangely, a blood-red centipede appeared on the page. 9-section Earth Dragon. The Heavenly Domain's Snow Lion was scared out of its wits. Su Fong exclaimed, "Brother Li's Yuan, suppressing demon, transforming heavenly book is truly miraculous. It is able to manifest the big goblin's form at such a distance. Yuan's suppressing demon, transforming heavenly book combined with my cultivation ability. As long as I can capture some of the essence and demonic aura of the big goblin, I could deduce the appearance of the big goblin and find out what kind of big goblin it is. This 9-section Earth Dragon's demonic aura is ruthless. Its cultivation is indeed powerful and almost comparable to a mortal toad. Its poison is indeed extraordinary. The 9-section Earth Dragon is currently hibernating in the depths of the palace. It is resting and is probably cultivating. When Brotherly uses the Yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly book to attack it, I will use my artifact to launch a sneak attack. It will definitely not be able to escape unless it does not appear immediately and directly escapes into the ice layer. However, a king like it will not escape without a fight. The moment it appears, it will be finished. I believe that Brother Su has the means to suppress the 9-section Earth Dragon, but I cannot. Although the Yuan-suppressing demon transforming heavenly book is extremely powerful, it still requires certain conditions to be able to suppress the big goblin. Especially this kind of big goblin. It will not just stand there and let me suppress it. Don't worry. With my current strength, I am already at the wing transformation realm. With my artifact and other means, even if I cannot suppress the 9-section Earth Dragon, it will not be able to kill us. Then I will go. After Li Haojia nodded, He continued to open his left hand and flew above the ice palace. Su Fong sucked the heavenly domain snow lion into the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Activating the instant space ring, he reached the extreme in this world of cold qi. With the Zhuotian realm's origin energy, he silently arrived at the ice palace. At the same time, he activated the mixed Yuan sacred realm, preparing to catch the 9-section earth dragon off guard. Spirit transforming demon, suppressing evil, origin returning power. Under Li Haojia's control, a book-like Xian Guang rumbled, creating a large hole in the ice palace. Then it fiercely attacked the interior. There was a loud explosion, as if it had hit the 9-section earth dragon. "Who is it?" The evil king's voice trembled. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At the same time, the patrolling big goblin hurriedly flew over as the central ice palace trembled and caused a huge commotion. The other ice palaces also had demonic chi burning. Boom! A 3-meter-long blood-red centipede with an evil poisonous chi spat out demonic chi from the hole in the ice palace. The book-like Xianguang was forced to leave the ice palace. Li Haojia was also forced to retreat. The 100-meter-long centipede flew out of the ice palace and instantly turned into a blood-red middle-aged man. He was the 9-section Earth Dragon's human form. The middle-aged 9-section Earth Dragon shook off the book-like Xianguang and stared evilly at Li Haojia. "What a strong binding force. You're a demon catcher. Great king." A large number of big goblin charged out. "Haha, we're going to play with this human to death. He's actually so bold to charge into this king's territory. He doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth." The 9-section Earth Dragon was too strong. Even Li Haojia's suppressing origin, suppressing demon, transforming heavenly book was unable to suppress him. Whoosh! At this moment, an illusory figure covered in cold chi flashed above the 9-section Earth Dragon. Without making a sound, his speed was indescribably fast. Buzz! The figure was Su Fong. He clapped his left hand, and a mirror appeared and shot out a red light. This red light was also extremely fast. Just as it was about to hit the 9-section Earth Dragon, he seemed to notice it. He turned around and released a shocking demon chi field. The 9-section Earth Dragon didn't care about the red light at all. When he saw Su Fong, he could already tell that he was just a second-stage calamity human. Was he afraid? Therefore, he released his chi field and let the red light hit him. But he didn't expect that the red light would burn the demon chi field. The 9-section Earth Dragon didn't know why, but he was frightened. Just as he was about to shatter the red light had already touched his body. Bang! He released a shocking amount of demon chi, trying to shatter the red light. But such a powerful demon chi was useless. It didn't affect the red light at all. Instead, the red light greedily wrapped around his body. Pa pa pa! On the other side, several big goblin charged at Li Haojia. Li Haojia's body was suddenly surrounded by the might of a Dao artifact. A true flame shot out, forcing the big goblin to dodge. Even if they couldn't deal with the 9-section Earth Dragon, they could still deal with the big goblin. Kill that brat. The other big goblin were all as strong as the heavenly domain snow lion. They charged at Su Fong. Reckless, blood hell wolf smoke, formless fire cloud saber. Su Fong flicked his finger. 2 divine abilities appeared. One was the poisonous blood hell wolf smoke, and the other was the shocking illusory fire cloud. 2 different flames landed in the surroundings, burning the big goblin. They spat out demon chi to suppress the flames. But how could they suppress Su Fong's power? "You little demons, I'll let you know how powerful I am." Su Fong activated his origin energy, combining it with the 9-yin chi. In an instant, ice began to condense within the cold air. These ice cubes were formed directly from the void, not from the surrounding cold ice. The ethereal true scripture is really powerful. It allows me to use the 9-yin chi and the Zhuotian realm's origin energy to easily create matter from the void in this world of cold air. In other words, cold ice. Not. With a claw of his 5 fingers, a layer of ice formed within the burning flames, separating him from the 9 segments of the Earth Dragon in 2 different worlds. Who are you? How can you use this thing to restrain this king? As for the 9-section Earth Dragon, it had yet to be burned by the 9 Yang True Flame. It was still in human form, but it was unable to struggle or move. It was extremely terrified of Su Fong. It didn't know where such a powerful human had come from. 9-section Earth Dragon, I'm the expert who suppressed your heavenly domain, Snow Lion. Last time, I didn't come here to deal with you because I wasn't strong enough. Now that I'm strong, I'll let the heavenly domain Snow Lion lead me here to suppress you. Su Fong bluntly said, You've already fallen into my hands. I can torture you to the point where you'll wish you were dead, but I hope you can obediently submit and recognize me as your master. Impossible. You think you can suppress this king with just your abilities? I'm the king here, and I'm about to undergo tribulation and become a demon immortal, ascending to the outside world. If you're not willing, then I'll suck you into a treasure first. Chi. Su Fong spat out a pagoda gate from his right hand. At the same time, he controlled the red light to move toward the gate. The powerful 9-section Earth Dragon naturally wouldn't accept his fate. He was unwilling to give up, and he erupted with boundless demon chi. But he found that any demon chi that erupted was instantly suppressed by the red light. Chapter 581. The Great King is about to be suppressed by the humans. That's right. Quickly run. This Earth Dragon Palace is about to become the territory of the humans. Before the Earth Dragon was sucked into the pagoda, the big goblin that had passed by Li Haojia were unable to break through Su Fong's flame and ice defenses to save the Earth Dragon. Now, they were all scared out of their wits and began to flee in all directions, no longer caring about the Earth Dragon. Li Haojia let out a sigh of relief, and his Dao artifact aura also disappeared. Even a monster hunter like him would find it hard to resist the encirclement of several big goblins. However, his Yang soul was different. He could see a black coffin in his eyes. That was his extraordinary Yang soul. His Yang soul helped him resist the big goblin's primordial spirit. Humans. At this moment, the Earth Dragon was completely sucked into the pagoda and locked into Xian Huang's 6-path pagoda. After Su Fong and Li Haojia met, they originally wanted to leave, but at the same time, they thought that the Earth Dragon Palace might still have many treasures. Furthermore, they also sensed several strands of true chi from the Earth Dragon Palace. They flew into the Earth Dragon's Ice Palace. Behind them, they found 7 female cultivators. It seemed that they were all captured slaves. After saving the slaves, they used their defenses to protect them. Otherwise, in this deep world, the cold air would instantly freeze them. This is the human bone pond. In the depths of the ice palace, Li Haojia stood outside an ice pond. The ice pond was created from a special kind of cold ice. Within the ice pond, there were piles of human bones that caused Li Haojia to raise his eyebrows. The Earth Dragon has done many evil deeds. Now that it's in my hands, it won't have a good life. Su Fong also arrived at the human bone pond. In the end, he used his divine ability to bury the ice pond. He also found a large amount of magic treasures, spirit stones, and empty pouches. There was also a large amount of ice spring spirit water that could only be found in the Forbidden Snow Forest. He collected a large amount of treasures and split them evenly with Li Haojia. Just as he was about to leave, the Heavenly Domain Snow Lion appeared from Xian Huang's 6-path pagoda after receiving permission. Master, there should be an origin soul essence that contains the power of the world under the ice palace of the 9 segments Earth Dragon. He sealed in the depths of the underground palace and concealed it with cold air. It's difficult to sense it. I think so too. How could such a powerful big goblin not have any peerless treasures? Let me sense it. Since it's an origin essence, I should be able to sense it. He immediately released the Zhua Tian realm's origin energy from his body, penetrating layer after layer into the ice of the underground palace. Soon, the world source energy sensed a similar aura but it was not too strong. After trying to absorb it, it could clearly sense a restriction. He ordered the heavenly field snow lion to protect the women while the two of them smashed the layer of ice and forcefully searched for the enchantment below. About 2 hours in the underground ice world, more than 300 feet deep, a barrier appeared in front of the two. The divine image, Jade Annulus, displayed its might and quickly found the weakest point of the barrier. It then absorbed the power of the world in Su Fang's body and fused it with the 9 cold air, forming a cold air that surpassed the height of the barrier. This cold air was something that the 9 segments Earth Dragon could not possess. With a cracking sound, the 3-meter-wide barrier was sealed and turned into ice. Boom! With a punch, the layer of ice was shattered and a 3-meter-wide hole appeared in the barrier. The two of them flew into the barrier and saw 2 strange stones in the ice. One of them was the origin soul essence that Su Fang was familiar with, and the other was the extreme ice vein. Although it was only a foot long, it was still very shocking. Li Haojia did not know where these 2 treasures came from, but he also felt that it was inconceivable. Su Fang took out the 2 strange stones. The origin soul essence was almost 2 meters long. Su Fang handed the extreme ice vein to Li Haojia. "Brotherly, I won't be polite with the origin soul essence. You can keep this extreme ice vein. It's a supreme treasure for the cultivation of the Yang soul. It just so happens that your Yang soul is special. I'm lacking a primordial soul type cultivation treasure, extreme ice vein." Just as Li Haojia grabbed it, a mysterious power that could condense his Yang soul came from the 1-foot-long gem. It was indeed a supreme treasure. At this time, Su Fang looked around the barrier and found some special cold stones. They were all top grade, and he also took them into his hand. The world soul essence is condensed from the Zhuotian realm's world energy. With this treasure, the Zhuotian realm's world energy in my body will definitely increase by a lot. After the two of them confirmed that there were no other treasures, they immediately left the underground ice cave. When they arrived at the Earth Dragon Palace, they could feel that there were many big goblins hiding in the dark. If those big goblins really came, the two of them would not be able to fight against so many. With the Heaven Domain Snow Lion leading the way, the two of them protected the 7 women as they left the underground world. When they reached the surface, Su Fang had the Heaven Domain Snow Lion protect the 7 women until they reached the outskirts of the forest to ensure their safety. Su Fang and Li Haojia cultivated in the snow plains for a while before the Heaven Domain Snow Lion returned. Li Haojia asked worriedly, "Brother Su, what should we do next? We can't always stay in this forbidden snow forest, right? I'm also taking one step at a time. The Zuan Pavilion and the Immortal Sealing Sect will definitely be searching for me in the Zhuotian realm. If we go to the Tianhu realm now, it will not be suitable to deal with the old monster toad. I believe that the old monster toad is much harder to deal with than the 9-segment Earth Dragon. We do not understand it at all. How about this? We will leave the Zhuotian realm first and go to planet Chilian or the Wutan realm to cultivate in secret. When the situation is not as tense as it is now, we will go to the Tianhu realm to deal with the old monster toad." Many thanks. Li Haojia also agreed with Su Fang's suggestion. Buzz, as they continued to cultivate, another rune talisman in Su Fang's body had some movement. Senior Li is here. The rune talisman was Li Ziqing's, and it transmitted Li Ziqing's thoughts. He had just arrived at the Zhuotian realm. It is great that he came. He should know about my movements in the Zhuotian realm. He immediately brought Li Haojia out of the forbidden snow forest. Li Haojia knew that it was Li Ziqing and felt a lot more at ease. 2 hours later, the two of them had just left the snowstorm continent. When they were high up in the sky, Li Ziqing used the speed of teleportation to accurately fly over from the horizon. When Li Ziqing saw Su Fang, his gaze became fixed. "I just found out about your matter. After discussing with the sect master, he asked me to come to the Zhuotian realm to look for you. This time, I almost died in the hands of the 2 major sects." Su Fang sighed. "I also did not expect it. In short, I will not be able to stay in the immortal sealing sect anymore. The two major factions are now looking for me everywhere in the Zhuotian realm. They want to capture me so that they can obtain the Xinjia Gate in the future. I was just thinking about where to go next. Before I came, I was also discussing with the sect master. We said that you can directly join the Five Poison Divine sect. The sect master will give you the position of deputy sect master. However, the sect master later said that it was fine. The matters of the divine sect will be handled by his disciple, Sister Yu. You can take the opportunity to establish your own faction, such as going to the human sovereign world. Establish a faction. Your expression seems like you can't establish a faction. I was just a disciple before. How can I suddenly establish a faction? I also agree with the sect master's suggestion. You're no longer an ordinary cultivator. What a mortal sealing sect's venerated Tao disciple. You are a dragon. A pawn like theirs won't be able to keep you. With your current strength, you can already fight against experts like Grand Elder Xiao Yun and Heartless Grandma. You already have the qualifications to establish a faction. Establish a faction. With Li Ziqing's detailed explanation and constant encouragement, Su Feng felt as if the clouds had parted to reveal the sky. Establish a faction. It was indeed possible, and it was not a problem. It was enough to establish a second-rate faction, especially after merging with the human sovereign world. Although he could not be considered a true world lord, he still had the qualifications to establish a faction. Furthermore, he could also obtain the Five Poison Divine sect's help. Li Ziqing continued, "Haven't you always been operating a pill refining business in the dark? This is a good opportunity for you to establish a faction. You can openly refine pills. Pills can strengthen a faction's foundation in a short period of time. You already have a good foundation. The impotence pill and the life-seizing restoration pill. You still need to refine more pills. I think that establishing a faction early is better than establishing one late. It's like cultivating. You have to do it bit by bit. Otherwise, if you establish a first-rate faction in the future, it'll be hard to manage." Senior is right. Then where should I go? Once I establish a faction, the Immortal Sealing Sect and Zuin Pavilion won't let me off. Furthermore, the Wutan realm won't do either. If the 7-star child returns and learns of my relationship with Senior, he won't let Senior off either. It's easy to find a place. If the Zhua Heaven realm won't work, then you can go to Planet Chilian, the Beichen Zone, or the Spirit Mist realm. Those 3 minor worlds are very close to the Zhua Heaven realm. If the Zuin Pavilion and the Immortal Sealing Sect want to deal with you, they'll have to go through those 2 minor worlds. Those minor worlds won't allow them to invade. Then it's decided. We'll go to the meteorite plains first, and then choose a minor world. Li Ziqing had come at the right time this time. He had pointed out a new direction for Su Feng. Using the instant spatial ring, the 3 of them entered deep space in the blink of an eye. Crimson Firmament Continent, meteorite plains that were close to the Yuan city. In just a moment, the 3 of them arrived at the depths of the meteorite plains. After entering the barrier, Demon King Supreme, Wan Mo, Mo Fengjun, and other experts welcomed them in the underground palace. Li Haojia saw the large number of experts and the astonishing fragrance of elixir essence. He couldn't help but exclaim, "I didn't expect Brother Su to have such a secret base." It was almost a third-rate faction. Li Ziqing didn't think so. The few experts gathered all the servants. There were almost 1,000 of them. After counting them, Su Feng released the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda and sucked everyone into the spatial ring. The servants were all under Gu Shizhen's control. Mo Fengjun, Demon King Supreme, and Luan Mo became his left and right arms. Demon King Supreme and Luan Mo also entered the true demon blood plate and took the opportunity to cultivate the Yin underworld chi. After leaving the underground palace, Jiang, he kept the barrier and used his great divine ability to bury the underground palace. The 3 of them quickly flew out of the Zhou Heaven realm and entered the heavenly ship. Not long later, they could see Planet Chilian, Beichen Zone, and Spirit Mist World. Su Feng consulted Li Ziqing. I have some connections with one of the mine families, the Gu clan. Senior, what do you think about finding a training ground in Planet Chilean? If you set up a dojo there, the exhibition will be restricted in many ways. I think the North Star realm and the Spirit Mist realm are the best. These two are both small cultivation realms. Let's go to the Spirit Mist realm. I have two old friends there, and they have a good relationship with us. They were once not imprisoned in the Shinja Gate, and we often go to distant small realms to train. They also have a lot of connections in the Spirit Mist realm. Let's take a look first. Spirit Mist World should also have some trading companies from Immortal Sealing Sect and Zuin Pavilion. But it doesn't matter. You have never been to Spirit Mist World. The overall cultivation forces there still have to go through the Jua Heaven realm. Li Ziqing pointed at a planet in the middle. Spirit Mist World. The heavenly ship immediately flew towards the small world. During this time, Li Ziqing introduced a lot of knowledge about the Spirit Mist World. Su Fong gradually understood the unknown small world. Li Ziqing also had a map of the Spirit Mist World. Spirit Mist World is not bad. From here to Jua Heaven Realm, it will only take 3 days with the heavenly ship. If we use the mystical door, we can reach there in a few hours. This will also make it convenient for me to return to Jua Heaven Realm at any time. There's another advantage. I can also go to Planet Chilean directly and cooperate with the Gu clan. Su Fong was full of yearning for the Spirit Mist World. In fact, he wanted to build a force. Chapter 582. Not long after, they successfully entered the spiritual fog world. The last time they went to the Wutan world with Li Ziqing, the two of them suffered a galactic storm. After entering the spiritual fog world, they first sensed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It was indeed many times more abundant than the Chilean star. Compared to the Zhuotian world, it was about the same. Of course, it could not be compared to the Wutan world, the immortal primordial world, and the primordial god world. Li Ziqing brought the two of them and flew across the spiritual fog world. The spiritual fog world was also made up of many continents. There were more continents than the Zhuotian world. The biggest continents were the Mystic Moon Continent, the Fertile Continent, the Fallen Immortal Continent, the 100 Demons Continent, and the Eternal Darkness. Other than these 5 continents, there were also many small continents in the water. The 3 of them traveled to the Mystic Moon Continent and the Fallen Immortal Continent. They saw many familiar merchant associations and cultivators. For example, the Immortal Sealing Sect, the Ziwei Star Sect, the Zuin Pavilion, the Eternal Spring Immortal Sect, and the Green Lotus Sword Sect from the Wutan world. Actually, they were not unfamiliar with this unfamiliar continent. It was also a small cultivation world. There were also various factions from other small worlds. Even the Supreme God Sect had a faction in the spiritual fog world. A few days later, the 3 of them arrived at the Fertile Continent. The rich, lush continent was a very special place for cultivation. Most of the factions here were refining and selling equipment. There were also huge merchant associations. Any faction here had a rich foundation. Hence, this place was called the Fertile Continent. Simply put, they were rich. How rich were they? In some of the cities on the continent, there were spiritual veins under the streets. Many of the buildings were made up of high-grade spirit stones, precious stones, and rare stones. Compared to the Zhuotian world, other than the dojos of the factions, how could those cities be compared to the Fertile Continent? At night, this continent was like a city made up of pearls. According to Li Ziqing's introduction, in the various continents of the Spirit Mist world, like the Mystic Moon Continent and the Fallen Immortal Continent, there were many righteous cultivators. There were also many powerful sects, like the 100 Demons Continent and the Boundless Darkness. One was a territory ruled by the demon race, the other was a world ruled by the Devil Tao. Both were places where cultivators flourished. Only the Fertile Continent. However, it wasn't a holy land for true cultivators. This was a place where cultivators didn't dare to act recklessly. As a small world, the abundant, lush continent was the most famous treasure-gathering city. Here, one could buy and sell anything one wanted. Every faction in the rich, lush continent, even if it was a small faction, was backed by a peerless expert. The rich, lush continent also had self-cultivator factions from the 8 small worlds, who had established various chambers of commerce here. The rich, lush continent was known as the treasure-gathering city. It was definitely the most prosperous place in the spirit mist world. If someone wanted to cause trouble here, which faction would allow outsiders to destroy the balance here? Su Fong and Li Haojia followed Li Ziqing and saw all kinds of treasures. There were all kinds of strange things, such as the profound yellow stone and origin jade stone that they had been searching for in the past. Even the origin essence could be bought if they wanted. After familiarizing themselves with the place, the 3 of them came to a restaurant to rest. Choosing a seat near the window, Li Ziqing introduced a large chamber of commerce that was 6 stories tall. This is the Qilin Pavilion of the rich, lush continent. It is one of the strongest factions on this continent. It is also a self-cultivator faction and also operates all kinds of businesses. This Qilin Chamber of Commerce is one of its doors. The Qilin Pavilion mainly sells pills, so I think that you can learn from the Qilin Pavilion when you establish your faction. Qilin Pavilion. Su Fong and Li Haojia looked outside. They could still see some of the situation in the hall on the 6th floor. As for the customers on the main street, they were practically stepping on each other's feet and pushing against each other. Business was indescribably good. Su Fong impatiently said, "Senior, there is no time to lose. Let's choose a territory and establish our faction. We will mainly sell aphrodisiac pills. In the past, the Immortal Sealing sect sold them on behalf of us. Now we have entered the Spirit Mist world, Planet Chulien, the Bachin Zone, and other small worlds. This way, it will be much easier to start." Li Ziqing said, "Just now, I was secretly communicating with those 2 friends. They suggested that we should not establish our faction on the rich, lush continent. This is because there are already countless factions and chambers of commerce here. It is impossible to squeeze in. If we insist on establishing our faction here, it will be equal to countless factions opposing us. It will be impossible to establish our faction smoothly." After saying this, he took out a map. The map showed the detailed coordinates of the rich, lush continent. Li Ziqing pointed at the large and small continents surrounding the rich, lush continent and said, "The surrounding islands and small continents also have countless factions. However, they're all second-rate and third-rate factions. If we establish our faction here, the rich, lush continent will not interfere. We will choose one of them and directly seize it. There are almost no uninhabited islands here. They are all occupied by experts and factions. It is not bad to establish a faction near the rich, lush continent. It is so close, and we can directly come to the continent to sell aphrodisiac pills. This junior also wishes to establish a faction on the rich, lush continent. This way, with the countless factions on this continent as a cover, the Zuin Pavilion and the Immortal Sealing sect will not dare to openly deal with me. I have already thought of your worries. In fact, when the time comes, we just need to go and see the Lord of the rich, lush continent and buy the piece of land from him at high price. Then, we can establish a chamber of commerce. This is because as long as you establish your faction on the rich, lush continent, this peerless expert will protect you. Lord of the rich, lush continent. This name, Lord of the 6th lush continent. Su Fong's curiosity was piqued by the mention of a peerless expert. The Lord of the rich, lush continent is a peerless expert. Based on my calculations, this person's cultivation age has most likely surpassed the Lord of 5 poisons. Impossible. How can ordinary cultivators live for more than 100,000 years? Let alone 100,000 years, even 10,000 years is a miracle. Those grand elders are the true ancient antiques. That is because the Lord of the rich, lush continent is the disciple of the Spirit Mist world's realm master. Li Haojia was shocked. No wonder. So he is the realm master's disciple. With such strength and status, he is the local tyrant of the Spirit Mist world. Li Ziqing continued. The Lord of the rich, lush continent is the ruler of this continent. Any faction that wants to set foot on this continent has to go through him. That means this Lord of the rich, lush continent is the richest person in this minor world. Su Fong sighed. This lord of the rich, lush continent was a miser. So as long as we obtain his approval, we can establish a chamber of commerce on this continent. At that time, the immortal sealing sect and the Zuan pavilion will have to be wary of the lord of the rich, lush continent. Even if the immortal sealing sect and the Zuan pavilion were 10 times stronger, they still wouldn't be able to reach the lord of the rich, lush continent. A long time ago, minor worlds had another kind of power distribution. The strongest person in a minor world was the realm master. Below the realm master were the lord of the rich, lush continent. Furthermore, the lord of the rich, lush continent controlled countless factions. So that's how it is. The Zhuotian world and the Wutan world also have the lord of the rich, lush continent. I don't know. Every minor world's realm master has a different personality. Their control over their minor world is different. Perhaps they send their disciples to become the lord of the rich, lush continent, while others send their disciples to protect their minor world in secret. The majority of minor worlds have lords of the rich, lush continent. It's just that many of them don't appear in public like the lord of the rich, lush continent. Then it's decided, should we go look for an island or go see the lord of the rich, lush continent first? Li Ziqing smiled. Of course we should go directly see the lord of the rich, lush continent. After obtaining his approval, we can buy a piece of land. Only then can we establish a foothold here. If you go and establish your faction first and then see the lord of the rich, lush continent, what if he doesn't agree? Su Fong patted his empty bag. All right, then I'll prepare the spirit stones and medicinal pills first. Brother Su, I've suppressed quite a few big goblin and obtained all kinds of treasures and spirit items. If you need anything, just ask, said Li Haojia. If I really need it, I won't hesitate. The three of them drank the last mouthful of hot tea and left the restaurant. A few hours later, the three of them arrived at the central city of the rich, lush continent. They entered the city and waited in front of a huge palace built in the center. A few experts came out of the palace and followed the guards to meet the three of them. You want to see the lord of the rich, lush continent? Su Fong bowed. We want to establish a chamber of commerce in the rich, lush continent. We're here to see the lord of the rich, lush continent. We heard that we can only establish a chamber of commerce in the continent after obtaining the lord's approval. All right, follow me. The expert nodded and got the guards to open the way. The three of them followed the expert into the palace. The palace was heavily guarded, and all of them were Tribulation Realm experts. This place was not like the palace and was not as extravagant. It just seemed heavy, and it emitted a supreme ruler's aura. When they arrived at the palace, there were quite a few people waiting. There were about 100 of them. The expert said, "Wait here first. You need to queue up. There are many people who want to establish a chamber of commerce in the continent. You still need to wait for a while." Wait. The expert was about to leave. Su Fong reacted quickly and brought the experts to the side. He took out 10 million spirit stones and gave each of them a share. The experts immediately understood. They smiled and said, "That's right. If we want to establish a chamber of commerce as soon as possible, we need to be willing to fork out money. Those people are very stingy. If we continue to wait like this, it will take at least 10 years or even 100 years. The upper echelons of the palace have many matters to attend to. Furthermore, every time we establish a new chamber of commerce, we have strict control. Now, the continent no longer lacks chambers of commerce." After receiving the benefits, the experts found an expert in charge of patrolling. Su Fong also gave him some benefits. Only then did he bring the three of them around the main hall and directly to the rear hall. There were many small pavilions in the rear hall. When they arrived at one of the pavilions, they saw a lady sitting inside. She was holding some true runes and would occasionally inscribe true runes on a book. "My lady." After the three of them were left behind, the expert went to see the lady. Su Fong immediately used his great perfection ability. He heard the lady say impatiently, "Don't go overboard when you take benefits in the future. The sixth lord has given orders to block most chambers of commerce. If you accept benefits from others, what if you fail to pass? If the sixth lord hears about this, you know the consequences." The expert smiled and said, My lady, we also see that this person is very generous. He must be very wealthy. If such a chamber of commerce passes through your hands, you will have done a meritorious deed. Let them in. The lady finally agreed. Su Fong withdrew his great perfection ability. He smiled but did not say anything. The cultivation world was full of worldly wisdom. How many cultivators could clear their hearts and pursue the Tao wholeheartedly? Even the sixth lord of fertility could not do that. If he could do that, he would not be so greedy. When they arrived at the pavilion, the lady asked the three of them to sit down. She glanced at them and seemed to see their cultivation levels. Her gaze landed on Li Ziqing. You want to establish a chamber of commerce? Li Ziqing shook his head. It's not me. It's my friend. Su Fong stood up and cupped his fists. I am Su Fong from the Zhuotian realm. I once received guidance from an expert. He said that if I came to the rich continent to establish a chamber of commerce, I would receive the protection of the sixth lord. I would also be rich. Thus, I thickened my face and came here. I hope you can open up a real estate and allow me to establish a chamber of commerce. Chapter 583. The first thing she did was to flatter the six lords. Su Fong did not believe that such a woman would ask so many questions. Su Fong's Zhuotian realm. The woman seemed to be very familiar with the Zhuotian realm. She wanted to know Su Fong's true background, but after thinking for a while, she could not come to a conclusion. I'm a rogue cultivator. Fortunately, the expert behind me left behind a pill refining foundation. Lord, have you heard of a pill from the Zhuotian realm called the aphrodisiac pill? I know about that pill. The royal palace controls the entire rich continent. Many of the Zhuotian realm's powers have set up businesses here. If I remember correctly, the aphrodisiac pill comes from the Zhuotian realm's immortal sealing sect. Lord, you are very powerful. I admire you. The reason I know about the aphrodisiac pill is not because of the immortal sealing sect. The immortal sealing sect is just a newly established power in the Zhuotian realm. Their rise is very fast. My royal palace keeps a record of the new treasures and pills sold by every business on the continent. There's also a record of the aphrodisiac pill. To be honest, the expert behind me is the creator of this aphrodisiac pill, and I was fortunate enough to obtain his permission to grasp this pill formula. That's why I wanted to leave the Zhuotian realm and come to your precious land to establish a chamber of commerce that sells medicinal pills. When the woman heard this, she did not immediately express her opinion. She looked deeply at him and said, You should know the rules. My royal palace knows everything about any business or power. Since you are not willing to reveal the power behind you, I can only ask you to prove that you are the one who controls the aphrodisiac pill. Then it's simple. I can refine the pill on the spot. He had been waiting for these words. Su Fong came to the center. At this time, Li Haojie and Li Ziqing's eyes were wide open. They were a bit suspicious that Su Fong could refine pills. He took out a high-grade pill cauldron. He also took out various kinds of powders and quickly mixed them into the pill cauldron. He activated his true fire and began to spit fire from his palms to burn the pill cauldron. He did it in one breath without any unnecessary movements. In less than half a day, the medicinal fragrance began to spread and spread out of the pavilion. Finally, he took out the ice spring spirit water and began to cleanse his spirit. After a buzzing sound, he grabbed a dozen yang strengthening pills from Su Fong's pill cauldron and handed them all to the woman. The woman took a sniff and asked a servant to bring over an aphrodisiac pill that she had prepared. After careful comparison, she even cut open the pill and tasted a little bit of the powder from both pills. It is indeed an aphrodisiac pill. The woman nodded and looked at Su Fong with admiration. I didn't expect a second-layer catastrophe cultivator like you to be able to master such a skillful alchemy technique. In this spirit mist world, you could be considered an alchemy grandmaster. My lord, did you agree to let me establish a chamber of commerce? Su Fong asked again. You have to listen to the rules first. These aren't rules set by me, but by the higher-ups. If you want to open a merchant guild, You can. But the rent for each year is 1/10 of your annual sales. Are you willing? 1/10 incredible. The commission was too excessive. 1/10, and it was 1/10 of the sales. In other words, the palace didn't have to do anything, and they could take 1 out of every 10 pills for profit. Wouldn't Su Fong suffer a great loss? 1/10. In the future, for every 10 pills refined, 1 would belong to the palace. Moreover, the palace would obtain the net profit, while Su Fong would have to bear the other risks. The woman seemed to see something. There's a reason for the 1/10 commission. We set up different rules for different merchant guilds. The merchant guild you want to establish is to sell pills. The profit margin is large, and you can make a profit in a short time. Moreover, the profit margin is very high. 1/10 of the profit is used to exchange for the sale of pills. Naturally, it's worth it. Su Fong asked again, "Can I just buy a piece of real estate and pay a certain fee every year, buying and selling real estate?" "Ha." The woman raised her eyebrows and smiled. "Every piece of land, every rock, and every grain here belongs to Lord Six. Here, there's only renting. It's impossible to buy and sell land for eternity. These are the rules. The rules were set by Lord Six himself. Our subordinates can only execute them. If I have any trouble in the future, or if the merchant guild is oppressed or suppressed by other major factions, the palace will sit and watch. As long as you sign an agreement with my palace, then your merchant guild will be operated by my palace in the dark. 1/10 commission is the same as ensuring that you can do business in the continent with peace of mind. You have to know that 1/10 commission isn't considered much. Many large merchant guilds will take 2 to 3%. All right, Su Fong secretly communicated with Li Zuching, and the other party also asked him to agree first. After some consideration, Su Fong agreed. The woman immediately took out 2 jade slips. These jade slips were very special and weren't refined from ordinary spirit stones. She introduced, "This is a jade slip specially made by my rich lush continent's royal palace. With it, your merchant guild will have the qualifications to establish a foothold in the continent cities. You and I will also need to condense true marks and sign an agreement. The agreement's contents will also be written by both of us using true characters. Will you establish a merchant guild in one city, or will you establish merchant guilds in all the cities?" This had stumped Su Fong. He then discussed with Li Zuching whether they should establish one merchant guild first or establish many at the same time. The difficulty Li Zuching had raised was the number of people needed to refine pills. With Su Fong's current manpower of nearly 1,000 people, if they refined pills day and night, there wouldn't be enough people. They wouldn't be able to refine many pills in a day. However, there were still benefits to opening several merchant guilds at once. This way, it would be easier to start. Having many merchant guilds selling aphrodisiac pills would naturally be better than having one. In the end, the two of them decided to open multiple shops in all the cities on the rich lush continent. After getting Su Fong's answer, the woman asked, "What's the merchant guild's name?" "Leaping Heaven Merchant Guild." "All right, we'll condense true marks together and carve them on jade slips. You have one, and my palace has one. In the future, your Leaping Heaven Merchant Guild will be a part of my rich lush continent." Swish, swish. Under the woman's guidance, Su Fong began to form seals and condense true marks. He drew one true mark after another and condensed them into words. When the woman finished sealing them, the 2 jade slips calmed down. The front had the words Leaping Heaven Merchant Guild on it, while the back had Rich Lush Continent. The woman handed Su Fong a medallion. "The agreement is set. You have to hand over 100 million top-grade spirit stones as credit. 100 million top-grade spirit stones. One exorbitant demand. It wasn't middle-grade spirit stones or high-grade spirit stones, but top-grade spirit stones. There was no way around it. He had to be like this in other people's territory." It was Li Zuching who said something that made Su Fong feel better. In the future, once he completely controlled the human emperor world, if the rich lush continent's power came to the human emperor world, he would definitely take 40% of it. If you take a bite of mine, I'll take a few more bites of yours. The woman sent the three of them out. I am Yu Ying, one of the people in charge of the palace. In the future, you can use this medallion to contact me directly. When you want to establish a merchant guild, just let me know, and I'll send people to assist you. Su Fong turned around and looked around. He suddenly bowed. I thought I'd see Master Lu himself. Master Lu won't easily manage these matters. They're all managed by his disciples or disciples. Yu Ying suddenly smiled and sent the three of them away. Li Haojie thought to himself, I think she made it very clear. She's the disciple of the rich lush continent's master. She's a hidden expert. The youngsters nowadays are much stronger than those of our era. Li Ziqing laughed. The three of them left the palace and flew towards the edge of the continent. Inside the palace, Yu Ying returned to her pavilion and issued a few orders. After a while, a door appeared in front of her. It was a black-clothed masked man. He immediately knelt before Yu Ying. I've already asked around in the Zhuotian world, but I didn't find any cultivator called Su Fong. The impotence pill is a collaboration between the Celestial Sealing Sect and a secret power. The Celestial Sealing Sect is selling it on behalf of the Celestial Sealing Sect. Just a while ago, a secret agent from the Yuan City sent news that the impotence pill has run out. Something must have happened to that secret power. Yu Ying asked, is there any other information? Although our secret agents haven't been able to find any cultivators related to Su Fong, the person you gave us has been identified. He's one of the Celestial Sealing Sect's 4 paths of venerated disciples, Fong Yu. Tell me more about this Fong Yu. Fong Yu has been in the Celestial Sealing Sect for over 100 years. Previously, he was just an ordinary disciple who hadn't even condensed a golden core. But after 100 years of cultivation, he became one of the 4 paths of venerated disciples. The Celestial Sealing Sect's 3 paths of venerated disciples are all extraordinary. I've even personally seen Prince Shui and Huang Lingyao. One has a heavenly talent, while the other has a peerless, desolate physique. But I don't know much about Sheng Changsheng. For this Fong Yu to become the 4 paths of venerated disciples, he must be incredible. Fong Yu entered the Celestial Sealing Sect's gate, and it was deep inside the Celestial Sealing Sect's formation. In the end, he came out alive with an elder who had been trapped inside for thousands of years. It shook the entire Celestial Sealing Sect. Perhaps because of this matter, he became a path of venerated disciples. The Celestial Sealing Sect's gate is a mysterious immortal item that even Master can't explain its quality and origin. When the Celestial Sealing Sect descended, it shook the small worlds. Our secret agents have a very detailed record of Fong Yu. It turns out that this Fong Yu had a public duel with Prince Shui. In the end, they fought to a draw. He was able to fight to a draw with Prince Shui. However, recently, Fong Yu drew a clear line between himself and the Celestial Sealing Sect. It seems that he had an unusual relationship with a certain female disciple of the Zhuan Pavilion. Then, he revealed the true secret of the Celestial Sealing Sect to her. That female disciple then told the Zhuan Pavilion, causing Su Fong to be chased by the Celestial Sealing Sect and become a traitor disciple. This matter caused the Celestial Sealing Sect and the Zhuan Pavilion to shed all pretense of cordiality. According to the latest information, the 2 great powers are currently searching for him in the Celestial Sealing Sect and the 8 paths of venerated disciples. Give me all the information on him, then go and find out more about him and the aphrodisiac pill. Yes. The black-clothed man inside the door bowed and disappeared along with the door. The pavilion returned to normal. Yu Ying absorbed a lot of true text from a rune talisman. Su Fong is Fong Yu. No wonder he came to my abundant, lush continent. Yu Ying's expression became serious. She immediately activated another seal and said politely, Master, disciple just passed through a new chamber of commerce. Coincidentally, the applicant for this Chamber of Commerce is the disciple from the Celestial Sealing Sect who escaped from the Celestial Sealing Sect a while ago. Fong Yu, a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect, came to my territory to establish a Chamber of Commerce. Interesting, interesting. A man's voice resounded from the void. When the celestial sealing sect descended upon the small worlds, many small worlds were shaken. No one knew what kind of immortal equipment it was to cause such a commotion. It's a pity that Realm Lord Juation's strength is unfathomable. Otherwise, the small worlds would have already taken action to seize that Tao equipment. Think of a way to help this Feng Yu establish a chamber of commerce. Interact more with him. Having more friends is better than having more enemies. Yes, disciple understands. Yu Yingying retracted her aura and heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 584. Three figures flew out of the abundance continent that was shrouded in jewels. In front of them was a body of water. Not long after entering the body of water, they saw many islands and some small continents in the depths. These islands and small continents weren't uninhabited. Because they were close to the fertile continent, those forces or powerhouses who couldn't establish their own chambers of commerce on the continent would choose to establish their own territories near the fertile continent. The abundance continent would not care. Why would they care? Would they be afraid that these islands and small continents would steal their business? Impossible. The abundance continent had long-established order. There were laws, and the royal palace controlled everything. Transactions were fair, and there would not be any killing, robbery, or suppression of customers. However, on these islands and small continents, it was very normal. Bandits ran rampant everywhere, snatching the resources of these factions. There are also many cultivators who dare to do business here. I think this little Sky Devil Island is very good. It is not too close to the abundance continent, but it is not too far away. It is surrounded by islands, and its area is comparable to a small continent. There is a demonic faction on the Little Sky Devil Island called the Little Sky Devil Sect. It is rumored to be a small faction established by a demonic expert from the eternal darkness. It only has 10,000 years of history and is considered a second-rate faction. It looks like a tough bone to chew. The Little Sky Devil Island's terrain is good, and its area is larger than similar islands. Even if there is a Little Sky Devil sect, it is nothing. I will not chew on it. Since I want to establish a faction, I will have to take root in the Spirit Mist world and establish a foothold on the Little Sky Devil Island. In addition, I will have a good relationship with the 6 Lords of Abundance in the future. Even if the Green Lotus Sword sect comes, they might not be able to do much to me, unless the 7-star child comes personally. I admire your temper. This is the Little Sky Devil Island. Li Ziqing muttered with a smile, his domineering aura surging. Since he wanted to establish a faction, he naturally had to inform the Lord of 5 Poisons. After the Lord of 5 Poisons found out, he wanted to send experts to help and seize the Little Sky Devil Island. Su Feng wanted to refuse, but he was too embarrassed to do so. The Lord of 5 Poisons was so enthusiastic, and he was not being polite. If he refused, he would offend him. With the help of experts sent by the Lord of 5 Poisons, they would definitely succeed in seizing the Little Sky Devil Island. However, Su Feng and Li Ziqing were not careless people. Together with Li Haojia, they spent half a day to arrive at Little Sky Devil Island. Entering the Devil Island, this gigantic island was completely black in color. In addition to the lack of spiritual qi in the surroundings, it was as though this was a land ruled by the Devil Path. Perhaps this was a reason why it was called Little Sky Devil Island. As soon as he entered the island, he saw many experts from the Minor Sky Devil sect patrolling around a large city on the island. Every cultivator who entered the city had a hand over a certain amount of spirit stones or pills. The city was a place for trading. All kinds of ordinary merchant associations and all kinds of peddlers gathered in the city. Behind the city was the forbidden area of the Minor Sky Devil Island. It was a Minor Sky Devil sect's dojo. The 3 of them arrived at the towering mountains and precipitous ridges. From the forest, they could see the demonic energy barrier behind them. They hadn't expected the Minor Sky Devil Gate's barrier to be so vast. He returned to the city and secretly inquired about the Minor Sky Devil sect's strength. The master of the Minor Heavenly Devil sect was known as the Heavenly Devil True Master. He was a true, supreme, true devil, an existence that surpassed the majority of the devil Tao. True devil, the strongest expert of the devil Tao in the small world. He was powerful and had the highest status. There was no need to doubt his influence in the devil Tao. As for the heavenly devil true master, it seemed that after obtaining a true devil, his strength was about the same as grand elders like Shao Yun and Daoist Wuzhen. His strength was almost the same as Li Ziqing's. Apart from the heavenly devil true master, the minor sky devil sect had more than 30,000 disciples. Most of them were in the young nascent realm, while the rest were in the imperishable and undying realms. There were about 1,000 in the catastrophe realm. As for ascendant transformation realm powerhouses, there should be a few more besides the heavenly devil true master. Their overall strength was still very strong because the minor sky devil sect was considered a second-rate power. After learning about the situation, the three of them settled down in the city. They waited for the 5 poison divine sects experts to arrive and carefully understood everything about the minor sky devil island. At this moment, in a room of a restaurant, Su Fong sat cross-legged in the middle of the barrier. He separated a strand of his consciousness and entered the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. As soon as the young nascent soul arrived, all the junior commanders knelt down to welcome him. Gu Shizhen had been observing the barrier from the side. Inside the barrier, the Vermilion Emperor's body had shrunk. When it saw Su Fong, it trembled in fear. This time, it had been taught a lesson. The Vermilion Emperor immediately knelt down. It no longer had the attitude of not putting Su Fong in its eyes. Master, this subordinate admits defeat. Please don't torture me anymore. No, I still have to torture you for a while. You beast, you dare to go against me? I'm already being merciful by not killing you. Su Fong didn't even look at the Vermilion Emperor. Although the Vermilion Emperor was a descendant of the peerless god race, its strength wasn't the strongest in the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. The strongest was naturally the 9-segment Earth Dragon. When they arrived at another formation barrier, the 9-segment Earth Dragon in a blood-red robe saw Su Fong. It was angry and wanted to attack, but it couldn't break out of the barrier. Although it was strong, it didn't have the strength to destroy the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. The Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda was already at the level of a Tao item. Unless the 9-segment Earth Dragon fused with a powerful magic treasure or a Tao item, it wouldn't be able to destroy the 6 Paths Pagoda. Su Fong also believed that even if it obtained a Tao item, it wouldn't be able to use 1/5 of the Tao item's power. It might even be difficult to use 1/10 of the Tao item's power. Not everyone could unleash 1/3 of the power of the divine image Jade Annulus like he did. If the spirit sect could use the power of a Tao item back then, it wouldn't have been destroyed by the Green Lotus Sword sect. 9-segment Earth Dragon, you are a peerless greater demon. Your name has shaken the entire Zhuotian realm for 10,000 years. Naturally, you are unwilling to fall into my hands. However, look around you. How many greater demons have I suppressed? Even your subordinate, the Heaven Domain Snow Lion. Although they're not as strong as you, I can still easily kill you. I know you don't believe me. Now, I'll let you know how powerful I am. I didn't have time to deal with you. Go. With a clap of his left hand, a familiar red light shot out from the mirror. The red light appeared like a nightmare. It appeared in front of the Vermilion Emperor and the 93 junior commanders, making them tremble in fear. How could the 9-segment Earth Dragon not know how powerful it was? When the red light shone on it, it was exactly the same as when it was suppressed. It immediately lost control of its body and activated its demonic qi. Qi that 9 Yang True Fire appeared and swept over the 9-segment Earth Dragon's demonic body. His human form immediately exploded, turning into a 100-meter-long black-red centipede. It was truly terrifying. Before the demonic body could show its power, it trembled a few times. Its lower body suddenly swelled, and a large amount of filth was discharged. After this discharge, the 9-segment Earth Dragon's demonic qi was clearly weakened. The filth discharged was very disgusting. There were feces, impurities, and other similar substances. Generally speaking, most of the filth was formed from demonic chi. A chaos origin saint's incineration caused the 9-segment Earth Dragon to lose a lot of demonic chi.